Hi. Hi, how are you? I can't hear you.
That might be better.
There you go. That is better.
Hi. I took your class 10 years ago.
I was about to say you look so familiar, but I don't know that I know you because I'm sitting there going, wait, wait, wait. Because some people I think I know from outside, you
I
know,
hear you.
and I'm like, something there, but I'm not, and then you spoke up. So I was like, okay, because most of the most time
Yeah.
I'm a visual person, right? Like
Oh, good. Well,
your name didn't trigger anything in my brain, but your face, I'm like, wait, I think I've
Ah,
seen this person before. Well,
yes.
hi, how are you? So which class? You say you took my class, which one
I
of the
actually took the
many?
exact same as
This
did you?
one, this
Yeah.
one.
And I got a
Okay,
job
one.
right afterwards because of it
Oh, that's
at
so
Pueblo
wonderful.
Radiology. So that was
I,
very
I,
helpful.
okay, you know what? That story makes me remember you because I remember
Oh,
you telling me that.
yeah. Yes. No,
Um,
I'm thrilled. That was a wonderful.
I actually would love to have if you write something down about that. The other day, they were asking for student stories,
Oh,
of that, you know, results or things that have come out of it. And I have like a couple of people who started their businesses and things like that. And I remembered someone just got a job, and I could not remember who it was. And here you are. It must be,
yes.
something must have because it was just right after that, right?
It was right
Um,
after that. That was 10 years ago. And I
mhm,
really haven't used it much since that job. I
mhm,
have Adobe and all that, and it's just been sitting there. And I just loved
mhm.
your classes so much that I thought, here I am. But yeah, I
Well,
will definitely write the story and send it to you.
yeah, that sounds wonderful. Someone sent me, someone reached out to me the other day saying, you never knew this, but after your class, I went on to do the graphic design, whatever, whatever, and now I have my business. And I had never heard from them again. It had been like 7 years ago, and it just made me so happy. It's like, oh, well,
Oh,
thank you.
oh yeah, thank you. That's why I'm here again, being a supporter. Yay.
Wonderful. I really appreciate that. So yeah.
Sure.
Great. Nice to see you again. So hi Rachel, hi Peggy, hi Vicky. Um, Unfortunately, two of the women who were here last class have had health issues, one, and a scheduling issue, the other one. So they're not going to be joining us again, which I was looking forward to some new faces. That said, life is what it is. Um, and Vicky, I'm glad to know that you were able to post. I liked your little yay. I was able to post.
It was a
So
process.
it was a process, but I like that you didn't give up and you kept trying, and that's what it takes. That's what it takes. So everyone, I'm gonna go ahead and write in the chat. Hi there is all I wrote, and Rachel's already written in there. So okay, over to the chat if you see it. Um, Marilyn, obviously, since your class was 10 years ago, it was in person. So I just want to ask you for a second. Well, you just said you have the application, so that's good.
Yes,
Um, and I know that you have been using it here and there, like you said.
here and there. I wish more, but
So, have you, do you know how to share your screen on Zoom?
me?
If you need to, yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's been a while, but I
because
can
I can
figure it
walk you
out.
through it, but I want to just check
Okay,
in on that and then we can start today's
okay.
class. Everyone open Bridge, so that it's already up and ready to go with class files. And then I'm just gonna assist Marilyn for a second to catch up. So hi, Moni.
Hey there.
Nice to see you. So, so I was back to Maryland. So do you see
Oh,
the share button that's next to like all the audio and whatever? You keep going to the right. There's a green button with a black
oh yeah.
arrow pointing. Okay. So click on that one first.
Okay.
And
Right now
then,
it's just trying to pull it up still.
okay.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Then
And
at the
then,
bottom, there's another button that says share. It's blue with white letters.
okay.
And when you
My,
click on that one, you
and you
probably
want me to share
have,
it now?
yeah, I want you to try to test it out to make sure it's working.
And then the
And
blue desktop
then
one?
the blue, yeah, and
Okay.
it's looks like it's working. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
There you go. Just wanted to work that one through because then during class, when something comes up, since I can't go stand behind you like in the past,
Right.
then it just is a quick share.
Gotcha.
If sometimes it's not quick because you need to change all the permissions in the computer, but yours is set, so that was good.
Okay.
And then
Good.
the only other thing I want to remind you about is that like right now, I'm going to ask something to the whole class, and I'm going to say, hey, how many of you guys read the handout, the Pixels handout? Give me a yes, or give me a no. And what I mean by yes or no, Marilyn, is see the reactions button. It's near the share button. It's got a little heart. So when you
Okay.
click on that one, um, there's a whole bunch of little emojis on it. Did you find it?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. And the no is the X, and the yes is the green check mark. Perfect.
Okay.
All right, great. So, and if you didn't read it and you didn't have time or whatever, it's not an issue. Just tell me no. But I do want everyone to answer, right? So, Vicky, can you give me a yes or a no on that one? And just to have an idea what the and there's I know that between Monday and Wednesday there's not much time, but definitely for sure, please have it by next Monday, okay?
Is that something that you gave out the first class?
Yeah, I'll show
I,
you in a minute when
okay.
we go to the class handouts. I'll show you where they are.
Oh,
And
perfect.
it's a handout on resolution, um,
Okay.
and photography and print and things like that. So that's the one that I'm gonna want you to read. But I'm also gonna share you in a minute. We're gonna be posting things, and I want you to see where we post and where you find the handouts and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
great.
yeah, so Marilyn's been my student before, but from the in-person class time. So all of this, where the stuff is online, is what's new to her. All right. So but before I launch into anything, any questions per se about whatever? Nope. Okay, so there are a couple more of the people who were here last week who will be showing up. There's just the two, one of the women who didn't have the applications, and one of the other two women who won't be here. But other than that, there's some other people that are missing still. So it's a fine, they'll pop in, but meanwhile we'll keep going. Yes, Vicky?
Just an FYI that I sent you an email just right before the class,
Oh,
but I have to lead him. I figured you didn't see it. That's why I'm telling you.
okay,
I have to lead a meeting for work at 6 o'clock
okay,
till at least 7, but it often goes a few minutes late. So I may or may not be able to make that. So I'll watch the video for the end of the class today, but I'll
okay.
jump off a little bit,
That's
like a couple
great.
minutes before 6.
Great. Thanks for letting me know. Um, let me see. Oh, okay. So when you said that, I just noticed that have I been logged out? Something saying that I've been logged out. One second. Oh no, it's my other Wi-Fi. Hmm. My my computer just said that I was logged out, but it's my pipeline that logged out. So I can log that in. Okay. Um Okay. So I since there's no other questions, thanks for telling me that. And no, I hadn't, I've been busy and I just kind of ran into the computer to get going. So I hadn't read it. So thanks for letting me know. I'm gonna share my screen and actually one more second. Marilyn, have you been at all in the world of pipeline or SBCC in the last 10 years? You do you
Just
know?
start it up again and have my pipeline email
You have your
address set.
pipeline account and amount. Okay. And you know how to get into the account. So, what we're going to do is once you get into your pipeline account, I need you to find your Google Drive. And in fact, since everyone else has done this, the easiest way for me to actually share your screen right now, show me your browser and I'll walk you through it. That way we can get there rather quickly. And then we'll jump into it. So just open a browser and share your screen. And then everyone else, meanwhile, go to the Padlet. I'm going to put the link right here because I did forget last class to have us, let me put it here in the chat. 1 second. Here's the Padlet link. I forgot to ask you guys to give me a screenshot of Bridge with the class files. Okay, so the rest of you who know have class files and all that, please go ahead and give me post a screenshot to Padlet. Meanwhile, all right. So let's head over to the easiest way is to go to my.sbcc.edu. Yep, there we go. Hit return. Cool. And then, yep, good old login.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's always, isn't it?
That pipeline.
No, at the
Oh.
top is just the username.
Oh, just the, okay.
Yeah, right there. And then your password.
I have to look up what it is. I have so many passwords.
So instead of sitting in silence, those of us who joined us a little bit later, while she's getting her password, I just wanted to say that if you've ever heard me tell stories about people who come back and tell me things they've done. So Marilyn just told me I remember her now. I didn't remember who it was that one day took this digital design techniques class 10 years ago and then went on to get a job because of that right after the class was over. Like literally
Good job.
after the class was over, she got the job because of what she had learned in class. And I just never remembered exactly who it was. And there we go. It's Marilyn. So yay.
That was really great.
And sometimes I tell these stories or, sometimes it's stories of failure when I take my, actually don't show us your password. Never mind.
Okay.
It's okay. It's all right.
That's the right one.
Great. Okay. Now, perfect. Now, see on the far bottom right, it says email and drive. Bottom right.
Bottom right.
Yeah, there.
The chat's in the way. Let's see.
Okay.
Whoa,
Yeah, over here. You probably have the, yeah. So head over to the word drive. Oh,
did I already miss it?
yeah, yeah. Looks like you went out there.
Oh,
Head
right
over
there.
to,
Okay,
yeah, no. Just head to the word drive. Yeah, and then scroll down a little bit more because down there you need to click on there, see all files. And I'm covering it also here. See all files.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yeah, perfect. Now this brought you into our Google Drive. And now head over to the problem is that you're in a personal Google Drive. So just close this there with that X.
Close the X?
Yeah. And then go to this thing that says C.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then switch, go, there we go. Okay, and now go to shared drives. And close this one again. It's because it's your first time ever, so it pops in. So just say close all those X's.
Close the window.
Yeah, because it's okay. And there you go. Now double click on this one, which is this is our class files. Okay.
Oh, how cool.
Cool.
Wow.
And then over here, you'll find all the stuff. And then one of these is the one that I wanted people to read. But for now, I just wanted to bring you over here. So now you know where the class files are. And this class is being recorded. So then if you later forget, you can find out. But open this one here. Double click on that one.
And that's from last time?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, good.
So this, brings you to, and I wanted, this is for everyone to see. In case you haven't come back to this, scroll down a little bit. These are links that are useful, but scroll a little bit down. And see, this was last, say I understand. These don't show up afterwards much. This is because it's the first time you've opened it. Okay, so over here, guys, this is last week's class. Here's the video recording, and then this is that AI summary of what was covered in class. Okay, so you can run through this one a little bit to see the stuff that you think you're going to need or not. Now, this is just artificial intelligence. I didn't write it, and it's not necessarily perfect, complete, or thorough. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. And I started the recording. Oh, here we go. See, let me turn it on. I started recording just now for today, but the other day I started it quite a bit further in. So this only starts from wherever I turn on the recording. But anyway, scroll a little bit higher. So after today, you'll have the second one. No, up the other in the other direction a little bit. Yeah. And now the link that I just put in the chat, which is what I'm about to show, is this one. It takes you to the class Padlet, and this is how you're going to turn in the work. So before we leave, hold on. Later, not right now, I want you to go to this thing, which is a survey, and to please fill it out for me, but you don't need to do that now. You can do it later. But now do click on this link, and then you'll be in the class Padlet. And now I'm going to stop your share once you do that, and
Okay.
then we can get going with everyone else. So click when you, I would just, yeah, when you click and then you go down here and click on, so it's kind of weird. That's why I wanted you to do it. You
Oh,
click
so
and then,
it
yeah,
won't.
click away again now. Click out here for a second to get rid of that. Yeah. And now when you click on it first, click on it one time, then see it brings this out. That's the link. There we go. It's kind of like
Gotcha.
a double. It's weird. Okay, so here you are. Perfect. Now I'm going to stop your share and I'll explain what this is all about. Hi, Cassie. Thanks for joining us. Hi, baby. Names, whoever that is. She.
Acadia.
Hi,
Her.
Acadia. Hi,
Yeah.
Acadia.
Sorry for being late.
No, that's fine. So I was actually just catching up Marilyn, who joined us today. So perfect timing because now we just moved over to the Padlet, and I had forgotten, in fact, last class to ask people, oh, hold on, I'm sharing, I have 8,500 things open. Here we go. Oh, I shouldn't have closed that last one. Here we go. I have all right. So first of all, those of you who already have Bridge, please open Bridge. And then for those of us who are who already did the Padlet, I just put the link in the Padlet. Let me put it in there again because otherwise, since Cassie just joined, she doesn't see the chat. There we go. So Cassie, there's the link to the Padlet. And so what I had just asked that I forgot last class to ask is for people to do a screenshot of their Bridge with the class files. So now I'm going to spend just one more minute with Marilyn asking you to download your class files. So in this same folder that we just went to, you were looking at it in this mode, which is like in file mode. There's one folder right above the link that you clicked called File 2024 Download. If you find that one, can you please right click on that and just say download so that you can,
I'm where the class Padlet was, and then the
yeah,
class
so you're in
folder.
the Padlet, but if you go back in your tabs one, you'll see these are the class handouts, right?
Okay.
You think you can find that again?
Yes.
Okay, so then there's a folder called Fall 2024 Download Digital Class Files. Can you do a right click and then download that one?
Okay, so I'm on the Padlet itself.
No, not from the Padlet, from the class handouts again. So
Okay,
remember,
so now I'm on the Zoom class recording links.
yeah, so one
Okay.
further back, because once you open the Zoomcast recording links, you left one tab behind, you left the class handouts, which is this one,
Okay, I got you.
which is the shared drives.
Got
And if not, you can share your screen again.
And the Fall 24 download digital design.
Yeah,
technique?
yeah, so right click and download it, okay? And then when you open Bridge, we're gonna let me know once Bridge is open and I'll show you how to go over and get it. And what I was asking everyone else to do is to show me a screenshot that they, you know, of the Bridge with the class files, and or I'll show you also how to do this, but for now I want to get going, and then when I have people
Yeah,
post again,
sorry.
I'll tell you how to do that. No, don't worry. All right, so let's go.
I don't see it downloaded. Let's see.
Now,
I'm gonna
remember last class I was freezing? Well, yay, the HVAC guy just came and left. And it wasn't something humongous. It was just a fuse. And now we have a little bit of heating going on. So but we're beginning to heat up the house. So yay. Okay. So let's head over to Bridge. I'm going to share my screen, and then you go ahead and keep catching up by going to, keep working on getting to Bridge. Marilyn opened up, and then I'll take you to, if you need to, you can share again, and I'll show you how to get to the class files. But meanwhile, I'm going to start talking.
Okay. It's
Okay. Do you have
it's like uploading still that one file.
Yeah, it'll take a little bit. That's why I'm
Oh,
moving
okay.
on. The
Here we go,
download
here
is
we
going to
go.
take a while. But right now I've got some other stuff to, by the time
Okay.
I'm asking you to use the files, they will
Oh,
be there.
I think it did it.
Yeah, that's okay. All right. So,
Wow. He's not looking at this type of file. Oh.
okay. So last class we began to explore, just the only thing I had is open the three applications and saw a little bit of the similarities in them, and that's all we really managed to do. The other file I had asked you guys to take a second to pay it to look at, if you could, was this folder, and I'm trying to remember whether it was this one, the Adobe Creative Cloud, what it is that the different applications can do. So if you had a chance to do that, that's fine. If you didn't, we're going to talk about that right now. But most of you have said that you have used Photoshop. By the way, in the background, can you please open Photoshop? So if you have Bridge open, we're going to start our second app today is going to be Photoshop. Sometimes if you have all of them open at the same time, the computer runs too slowly. So go ahead and for now we'll do Bridge and Photoshop. Then we're going to work with InDesign and Illustrator, but first with Bridge and Photoshop. So get that one going. So when we begin a project, the first thing that we need to do is read the metadata of the photo that we sourced for this project to see if it's going to work for our project. So the metadata, who remembers how we read the metadata? What did I show you about Bridge?
You click a thumbnail and
Okay.
it'll appear.
It appears here on the right side, yeah. So if we click on this thumbnail, it gives us a little preview up here that has a function, but it's not a most obvious function right now. And then what happens is that if I wanted to see it bigger, I can just do what? If I want to see if that little surfer or whatever, if I want to see what that little thing is, because it might look like an ant in an anthill, if I want to see what it is, what was the quickest way to see this a bit bigger?
Spacebar.
Yep, hit the space bar. And this isn't a photo that gets that much bigger, but at least it's enough for me to see that it's, water and a guy waiting on his surfboard for a good wave to come in. So then I click the space bar again and it goes away. So then I do that space bar and I can see whether it's the photo that has the right flowers or it's the one where the focus is in the right place, so you check it out. So if we decide, yeah, this is the right photo, and you hit the space bar again to make it low, then we go over here and we go, okay, so what's happening here with these numbers? Is this photo going to be good enough for the job I am intending it to be for? So it's, and I know, Vicky, you didn't get a chance to read this, but I think you've said that you've done some of this work, right? Can you give me general idea, Vicky, what your knowledge of resolution is? And it's okay if it's none, but can you catch me up a bit on that?
I'm sorry, my knowledge of resolutions. That we said?
Yeah. Do you have any idea or not? And it's okay if not, but I just want to know how much, do you know about resolution at all, or is it completely?
I do. I'm not sure how the.
Okay. No, but you
explain
might say,
this.
no, I know, but I'm saying, have you ever heard of it? The
Yes, yes.
conversation. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Because I know that of the people who came in the other day, some people had quite a bit of experience, and others didn't, and I'm just trying to remember. So when Cassandra, I think you have done this quite a bit, so you said you had a better idea, right? Or has your work been more for print or for screen or for both?
For both.
Okay. So when you want to print something, your image has to have many more pixels than if you want to go on screen. And so the first thing we want to go and look at is over here in the summary of the metadata is this area there. And in the summary, the first part is just information. If you are the photographer, you might want to know, right? What the camera settings were, f-stop, speed, all of that. But unless you're the photographer, this doesn't matter much to you at all. All that matters to you is this is the photo that the client gave you for their brochure, and you just need to go and read this part to start with, right? And so you go, okay, so this big number there, that is how many pixels the image has, and it's 1920 by 1279. In this case, always the longest number here, of course, would be 1920 by 1275. This represents the pixels that the image has on the side. So there are 1920, let's say about 2000 pixels from here to there. And there are about 1300 pixels from here to there. That's what this is saying. Now, the next thing that this is saying to me is that the file size that this, what it weighs, let's say in a computer, it's 1.27 megabytes, which is relatively small, but it's definitely not small enough if I'm going to go to the internet with this photo. And it might or not be big enough to go to print. File size is really, it's not indicative of whether this photo can be printed or not, because some photos can be compressed or not, have layers or not. So forget this for print. All that matters for print is this number. It's how many pixels per inch my photo has, or my photo is set at, because this isn't something that it has or doesn't have. This is the current setting of this photo. It's set at 72 ppi. So ppi stands for pixels per inch. Now, what that means is, imagine this side right there, I just said has 1920, right? Let's say about 2000 pixels, right? Let's just round it up a bit. So if that's 2000 pixels, pixels per inch literally means that for this photo, if I grab 72 pixels and put them in an inch right there, and another 72 and put them in an inch, another 72 and put them in an inch, this is telling me how many inches, right, I can get out of 2000 pixels. So if you're a good mathematician right now, you could just go, 2000 divided by 72, and it'll give you a number. Now, I'm not a good mathematician, so I use this here. And what it's telling me then is that the dimension in inches is that this will be a 26.7 inch photo width and 17.8 in height. Does that make sense? Now, that's if I divide all of these 2000 pixels divided by 72, right? So that's what this means. But this is impossible if we're going to go to print, because that's not enough pixels. 72 pixels per inch for print is useless. So this number basically is not true, right? This photo, if I print it at 72 ppi, is going to be a very blurry, very bad quality photo. So this number you can only believe if, and now I'm going to go and do a bunch of times, the only time you can believe the dimensions in inches, this one, is if this says 300 PPI. Because 300 PPI is that minimum, not minimum, it's the ideal number for me to be able to print. So if I were to grab those 2000 pixels, divide them by 300, right? Then I would get many fewer inches. Does that make sense? So does anyone have a calculator, by the way, handy? Let me just use my phone here. If I really were to do, and by the way, after this, you never need to do math again because Photoshop and those will do it for you. But basically it says 6.66. So the reality of this photo with 2000 pixels on that side is that if I try to print it at 300 PPI, it's going to be 6.6 inches, not 26 inches. See what a big difference? Because 300 of those pixels need to be packed into that 1 inch for this to be looking like a really nice quality photo. Okay, so in order to shift that around, we can do that easily in all of these programs. Specifically, Photoshop is where it's the best place to do it. And I didn't bother calculating the second one, but you can imagine that it's not, 17.8. It'll probably be something like, I don't know, 4, probably 6 by 4 or something like that. So that's the only limitation that this photo has, is that all I have is how many pixels it comes with. 72 PPI can be shifted. There's so many other things that can be shifted, but what can't be shifted at this point after the photo has been taken is how many pixels are there. And by the way, even saying that, I'm not, I need to retract myself. For the past 30 years, once this pixel has, well, ever since whatever Photoshop began, these pixels were stuck in, that's it. You could only get smaller, but not bigger, right? But as of the last couple of years, there's more and more tools that would allow me to grab this photo and put it through those tools and actually get this photo to look almost as good as it does now with double or triple the pixels. And Photoshop is one of those that can allow us that tool right now, and it does a really good job. So the golden rule of you're stuck with this and you can never do anything about it is now not a golden rule anymore. Now you can do something about this. If you needed this photo not to be 6.6, which is all we can get out of this right now. If you needed this photo to be, 12 by 8, or I don't know, 20 by 14 or something like that, we can put it through some filters that I'm going to show you guys and make it look almost as good. Not as good, but almost as good. Okay. So, but unless you have those filters, this is the best this photo is ever going to look at. In print, it's going to be at 6.6 inches by whatever, say 6 by 4-ish. That's the best this photo is going to look at. On the other hand, if I were to be taking this to, so for printing, all that matters is total pixels and PPI. Versus if I'm going to the internet, PPI isn't even an issue. It's not an issue at all. And a lot of people think, oh, 72 PPI is screen resolution. You might have heard the word screen resolution. Well, that is based on one of those old for 20 years before flat screens arrived, we had those humongous CRT monitors. Some of you guys might be too young to remember that. And on those screens, 72 PPI represented an inch of that screen. And so in those monitors, you could kind of figure out that this might be certain size at 72 dpi on your screen, but that's just not a thing anymore. So right now, monitors come in the possibilities of how many pixels that a monitor can show you. Now I'm talking not about the photo resolution, but at the monitors, actually, the actual screen that you are seeing this can be really high resolution, really small. If you have a very old monitor and an old computer versus a very high level, high definition or a retina screen that Mac has, the same photograph that's 1920 by 1279 pixels on one screen will show up about yay big, on another will show about yay big, and another show about yay big. And you see that the word yay big means nothing, right? Because each screen will see that photo differently according to how that screen is able to display it. So some screens will display 1920 about as a 4:5. Other screens might display it as a 2:3. Others might display it as a 8:10, depending on how that screen is reading the pixels. Does that make sense? So we have very little control. Well, actually, we have no control over what screen the user is using to view that photo I put on the web or my website. So we have a whole different conversation about it. So the main thing now, it still is pixels, right? But the second most important, is file size. So to go to the screen, to go to the web, what matters most is file size. Now, file size is because we are limited in how long the photo takes to pop in to someone's screen. So if I put a photo that's very big in megabytes, it might take quite a while until the person who's looking at this photo in Bangladesh or in New York, it might take a few seconds, or it might take a few split parts of a second, or it might be instant. And that depends on how fast the speed that they are connecting to the internet with. And again, we have no control over that, right? We don't know what kind of connection speed they're going to have. And what if they're on an old phone and they don't have Wi-Fi and they're just using data? And there you go. Then it's even slower, right? So our goal for the internet is to get the smallest as file sizes as possible while still respecting the quality of the image, okay? Because you can get it really tiny, but the quality can be horrible. Now, not tiny the photo. The photo might still fill a screen, but the file size can be really tiny, and then you can have a very bad quality photo that fills a screen, or you can have a photo that is very good quality, but the file is so big that by the time it comes down and it shows up in your page, people have already moved on to another page because they're tired of the photos not showing up. Does that make sense? I'm going to stop my share for a minute because this is a dry set of things that I'm showing. So basically, when we're going to the internet, what matters is it is still pixels. So those initial pixels matter for both, right? And then based on that, we probably need to get rid of some of those pixels to go to the internet, unless if we have too many of them. Or that might be just enough, or it might not. We're going to be figuring out which number of pixels we need. But most importantly is what our file size is going to be. So we're going to learn to export and compress them differently for different sizes and needs. Versus if we're going for print, we don't care about the file size. Computers have a lot of space to hold stuff now. Before, it used to be an issue, not anymore. So what matters to us then is the resolution that our photo is set up at for that thing to print correctly to look great. And 300 is slightly arbitrary. 300 PPI is the idea, and I was just moving things around in my desktop and I don't have it right on top of me, which I always have it. Yikes. Okay, never mind. You guys have all seen a good quality magazine, like say National Geographic, a magazine that has really high quality photos. And when you look at a magazine, you're kind of holding it about, yay, this distance. That's what 300 PPI is all about. Or if someone says, oh, look at the cute photo of my daughter, and you look at the photo and that's the distance that 300 PPI is for a quality photo paper and at this distance. So say that you're going to show a photo on the wall of a house where, you know, you're going to be having to stand 10 feet away because there's a couch in the way and you can never approach, well, then you could actually print it at 200 ppi because our eyes, the distance, will still see it sharp. But if you were to approach it, it would be kind of fuzzy. Does that make sense? So location, distance, there's all these things that matter. Paper quality, if you print on newspaper paper, where the ink, when it falls on the paper, there's like dot of ink will spread, right? So that's ink spread, then that photo won't be as sharp anyway than if it's printed on a really high quality, glossy, sharp, you know, piece of photo paper, where the colors will jump out. And so then you can have less resolution for a photo that's going to be in the newspaper because it's going to be worse quality anyway, right? So that's what I'm saying. 300 is the gold standard, but there are times and situations where you can print with less than 300 and you can print with more than 300. Some printers, especially new digital printers, are made to be able to take advantage of a bit more than 300 ppi. That said, very few humans are trained enough that their eyes will notice the difference between a print printed at 300 ppi or one printed at 400 ppi. We'll look at it and we'll go, yeah, it's just I don't see any difference. It's just as good. Someone really trained in color and might look and might be able to perceive a slight shift here and there where they might say, oh, this one printed better than that one. But for the most part, you can print higher than 300 ppi and no one will notice a difference. And lower than 300 ppi, you can print and get away with it to about 240, 250. And then after that, everyone began to go, something's wrong with this photo. And it's because it's beginning to get a bit blurry. Okay. So there's a bit of a range there, but not much. Okay. Now that was all very theoretical. We're going to start putting like hands on and understand how this goes a little bit better. But those of you who read the handouts, you had a little bit of foundation for this. Those of you who are hearing this for the first time, I am expecting that it's all still a bit of a blur, but if it kind of makes sense to you, right? Like, yeah, yeah, it's confusing, but I think I understand what you're talking about. Even if you have no idea how to get it done, then give me a yes. If you're like, this whole thing is a bit like fuzzy still, give me a no. And as I said, this isn't enough to teach you the whole thing, but it's the concepts of it that are the most important ones. Really understanding what the difference between the two different export media, let's say print versus screen, and what we look at in the metadata. All right, cool. So now let me share my screen again. And hopefully by now everyone has opened Bridge, and Photoshop was the one that I had asked you to open in the background. So great. So if we're looking at this photo and we now have an idea of what we want, but we're not sure, and we don't want to pull out the calculator to figure out what it'll be, we don't need to. All of these applications are going to show me and tell me how to modify my photo so that the 72 will turn into 300 into 300, right? But the stereotypical use of Photoshop is for photos. The stereotypical use of Illustrator is for vector files. And the stereotypical use of InDesign is for gathering all the material together to create a final project. So for now, although there's overlap among them, we're going to start using them in that mode. So if you have a JPEG is a pixel-based image. And so if you open a pixel-based image, Photoshop is the one that jumps up and gets going. So let's go ahead and double click on this flower, and it will, if you hadn't yet opened Photoshop, it would have kicked Photoshop into opening. But since I got you guys to do it in the background so that it would already be open to go a bit faster, it just opened up in Photoshop, right? For those of you who know that, had this been a Mac or a PC and you had tried to do that on, and I'm going to share one more window with you guys. Had you tried to do this, say, on a Mac on a Finder window, right? And you had gone to this photo and tried to double click on it from here, a JPEG would have not opened in Photoshop. And in Windows, a JPEG would have not opened in Photoshop either. They would have opened in other programs, like in a preview program and stuff like that. You could have, of course, if you know, done a right click and told it to open with one of those programs. But for the most part, JPEG is such a generic photo format that just about every program on your computer can use it. So you might be surprised that you're opening a JPEG and boom, it pops open in Microsoft Word or something. So, but the Bridge knows exactly what to do with it, and it's like open it in Photoshop, so it opened it straight into Photoshop. Okay, I need a reminder, and I keep going back to you, Vicky, because remind me again, I don't have the surveys in front of me. And can you remind me if you've used these programs before? I kind of know everyone else.
I've used Photoshop a little bit, not much.
A little bit Photoshop, but not the rest, right? I
Right.
think. Okay, got it. And then for Cassie, you hadn't used InDesign, and everyone else, I kind of know you, so, or know enough about you. And I, Marilyn, I know that you many years ago, but you did use all of these. Okay. All right. And the rest of you guys I know because you've been in and out of some of my other classes as well. So that's all I needed to know. Okay. So here we are in Photoshop. If you know, down here at the bottom left, I'm going to just run you through a couple of basic things, but at the bottom left, in Photoshop down here, you have a percentage number. And that percentage number is talking about how big this image is showing on your screen. And for some of you guys, you might see 66.67 like mine. Some of you might be seeing, 50% or 70% or whatever. And again, that has to do with the resolution of your screen and how it's looking. Now, the golden standard is to always look at this at 100%. Hold on. I just messed up my Zoom. Is my Zoom in the way? No. Wait a minute. Phew. I didn't want I just did a shortcut that was on Photoshop, but it was a Zoom shortcut and it messed things up. So let me move this out of the way because you guys just took over my screen and I have you on your other screen so that I don't have to have them on this one. Okay. Sorry, had to clean that up. Okay, so this number here is the one that I was talking about that when we open an image, it might look good, it might look bad, but it's meaningless until we see it at 100%. We don't really know what's the quality of that image, because at 100% is when this image is aligning itself to the resolution on the pixels are aligning themselves to the best ability in the best way they can to the resolution of whatever your screen is showing. So when I go ahead and say, I want to see this at 100%, we're going to be seeing it at different sizes. So how do I see it at 100%? Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to use, let me clean all my Zoom stuff first. And now I'm back to just Photoshop stuff. All right. So the first shortcut that we're going to learn that is one of the most crucial ones for Photoshop is Command for Macs, Control for PCs. Hold it down and then tap the number 1. And that brought us to 100%. Now at 100%, if you look at my screen, you might be seeing the entire photo. You might be seeing much less of the photo, much more of the photo. You might still be seeing black all around. Whatever you are seeing for all of us at this point is different. But as long as it says 100% for your computer, now is when you can look at this image and go, oh, so is this image sharp or not sharp? Is this a good photo for me to keep working with it? At least is it sharp in the part that I want it to be sharp? Maybe if it's a portrait, you're always going to look at the eyes to make sure that the eyes are in focus and that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and say that if you have a Retina screen, if you have a Mac with a Retina screen, you could even go to 100%. and it would still be valid. So how would I go to 200%? Well, we're going to start zooming in on this thing, and the same command key that we were just using, if you now hold it down, or control if you're on a PC, or command if you're on a Mac, and then start hitting the plus sign, the plus as in, plus minus top, that's kind of at the top of after your numbers. So if you go to command plus or control plus, each time you go up, one up, that took us to 200%. So if you have a retina screen, this is still a valid place to look at the photos. And command plus, 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 and I start going up and up and up and up. And then finally I get to the pixels. So I'm at 6,400. I think you can go even a bit more. Yeah, 12,800%. That's the most we can see. And so here we go. For some of you guys, it's the first time you've ever seen a pixel. Welcome, introduce yourselves to a pixel. They can only have one color per box, right? And pixels are like chewing gum. They can be really tiny or really big, and it's the same amount of chewing gum in your mouth. Same with a pixel. It doesn't have a size. That's why we measure a pixel by how many of them we can pack in an inch. They can be really tiny and we pack 300 in an inch, or they can be kind of biggish and we pack only 72 in an inch, or they can be humongous and we only pack, right now, if I were to grab an inch of the screen, that's 1, 2, 3, right? Or in this case, right? So as I scroll down with command, or not scroll, but zoom down, command or control minus, 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 I begin to see the details of this image a little bit more. I'm going to leave it there where I can still kind of see the lines, but I'm also able to begin to distinguish the shape of a flower. And now I want to go around and see some of the other images. So I want to do something called panning. I don't want to get smaller or bigger. I just, at this magnification, I want to move around. So I'm going to hold down the space bar, which gives me a hand. And now I'm going to click and drag and begin to go around. And I can see now that I have all my other flowers very pixelated, right? Because I've zoomed in past 100%. So this is what being pixelated means. But I can click and hold the space bar down. Now, when I'm done, and this is the part I wanted to get to, then I let go of the space bar and my mouse stops being a hand. Okay, so that's panning around. Now I'm going to go command minus, minus, minus again. And as I keep pressing my command minus, 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 I finally get so tiny. This area here is called the pasteboard. In Illustrator and in InDesign, we're going to use the pasteboard actively. In Photoshop, the pasteboard acts like a mask. We will never see anything that's outside of it. Even though we can have image outside of the pasteboard, outside of this in the pasteboard, we will not see it. It's always going to be hidden from us. And I'm going to explain that in a minute more. But for now, the part that is holding my photo is called the canvas. And right now I'm at like 8.3%. And as I start zooming in again, I don't want to go plus until I fill my screen again. I just want to just fill my screen with the image. I just want to just go straight to filling my screen with the image. So command or control or command 0 fills the screen with my image. Okay, so command plus plus plus, command minus minus minus, command 0 to fill the screen, or command or control 1 to get to 100%. In my computer right now, 100% is kind of similar-ish to what was I going to say? To fill in my screen, to command or control 0, at least in my screen. They're relatively similar, but they're not. Fill in my screen is like 86%. So in other photos that have many, many, many more pixels, if I try to see a photo at 100%, I might only see one flower, right? And the rest is out of there because I have many more pixels. So it depends on how many pixels. So let's go and find a big image. So let's go back to Bridge. And the way to do that is to go to your one thing I don't want to see you guys doing is saying, okay, I'm going to move this out of the way so I can get to Bridge. Like, as you might notice, I have my program stacked one on top of the other. What you want to start doing is going to your dock if you're on a Mac, or to your taskbar at the bottom if you're on a PC, and look for the icon of bridge, the BR for bridge, and just click on bridge, and then you get to bridge, and then go and click on PS, and you go to Photoshop, right? So that's how you zoom back, and you go straight from one to the other without moving around. No problem. Hi, Barb. Nice to see you. So head over to Bridge, and all we did was open this photo. So go ahead and open that one. And now we're about to open. Now let's go over to this one on the left side. And the pixels here, it says is 1500 by 21. It's a different proportion. So it's not that different, right? I mean, 1920 by 12 or 15 by 21, it's relatively small, similar-ish enough size of a photo. Versus if I go to this one here, it's 800 by 521, right? It's many, many, many less pixels on this one. Okay. And I believe I have some let's go into this folder called coffee beans. Double click on coffee beans. And then over here, no, I thought I had a really big one here and I don't. Okay. So sorry about that, but that's good because we practice how to move around in Bridge. So I went into the coffee beans folder. Now I want to go back to the general folder again. So I go up here and I click on the Fall download. And let me check on the file formats one. I believe that's where I have a bigger file size. No. What did I do with my big? All right. Looks like I need to add some higher level pixel images. I thought I had put it. Sorry. Could it be in
There's
here?
some big ones in magazine article and then links.
Yeah, here we go. So let's head back to the general Fall download and let's go into magazine article and double click on there, and then links, double click on there, and then here we have 5,000 by 34 for 14, basically 5,000. That's about the proportion of many of these. Okay, so let's go ahead and open the beach huts, the first one, and double click on that one. Although the pigment one was cuter, but anyway, I already opened this one, so there we go. And now this image filling my screen is 33.33% for me. And if I were to go Command or Control what to see it at good quality, what's the one I need to see it at its best quality? Command or Control what?
One.
Hello. Yep. That takes me to 100%. Remember that the best way to learn is not only to hear it and do it, but also to say it. I mean, if you ever want to learn something, try to teach it and then you'll really learn it, right? So whenever I say, what's the answer? Don't wait for someone else to answer. Just do your best to say it, even if I can't hear you. And ideally, you will unmute yourself so that I can hear you. If there's no noise going on in the background, you can just stay unmuted. But anyway, so here I am, 100% in this case is showing me a very small, and then I'm holding my space bar to go up and down. And now I'm seeing that there's a lot more photo from left to right than what I was seeing before. Okay, so 100% is showing me only a small portion of my image when I have as many pixels as this one, which is about 5,000 pixels on the side versus, and now I have two photos open, right? So here's the one I'm working on right now. And then right there in this tab is the one I was in before. So this image and that image are both open, right? And if I go to 100 to Command or Control 0 to see my entire screen, it zooms this one all the way down to 34% versus this one. If I go Command or Control 0 to see my tail photo, it only goes to 86%. That's because it has so many more pixels that it just has further to go. Now, still, as many pixels as it has or doesn't have, when I open this one, the first thing I need to do more so with an image this big is go to 100%, because 100% on this one is so similar that, yeah, basically if I can see it in focus at 86, it's probably in focus. But if I open an image at 34%, it's as if I were standing like, 20 feet away from it. It's zoomed out, it's way over there, and it's always going to look sharp. Example I always give because it's so specific, but if someone who has mini zits on their face walks in at the under end of the classroom, right? And you see them, you don't see their zits. As they approach, you still see them, but it takes them approaching and being in front of you to be able to really see the zits on their face. And so we're looking at this thing from afar. So as we go command plus, 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 and we begin to get closer until we had 100%, now we can go, okay, is this in focus? And that's why we got to pan around, click and hold our space bar to move around until we see it. Now, again, as I said, there's so many things about, I can't even tell you how many things you can do in Photoshop to this image or not, but right now I'm really interested in the part that I'm teaching you has to do with the perception of quality or not, and which photo is ready or not to go to whatever medium you're going to, present it at. So we're not particularly focused on what we're going to do to these flowers or these houses, rather how well will they show up or not in my brochure, my poster, my business card, my website, and so on and so forth, right? So what if I skipped bridge? What if I'm not using bridge, or if I use bridge but I didn't check? Can I check in Photoshop this same information? Like what's the pixel size and PPI and that kind of stuff? Well, down here next to the 100%, let me get the pencil again, right next to the 100%, there's a tool that depending on where you left it last, it might be saying something different than mine. Mine says doc 45.9, and this is megabytes. So this is the file size portion, which is, just to clarify, it's this portion of it, 4.92 megabytes is what the file size I told you that this photo was. Hold on, let me make it bigger. I told you it's 4.2 megabytes. Then so why when I go into Photoshop, this is saying 45 megabytes? It's like, what? 4.2 megabytes or 45 megabytes? What's the deal here? And so there's different kinds of measurements that Photoshop is taking. Inside of it, this one is reading a number that has more to do with each channel of layers and colors, and it's just like a whole different, it's like it explodes up, right? What matters at this point isn't this number, so don't keep this number in mind where you're looking at how big your file is. This is like a working number. Let's go ahead and click on this same arrow that's next to it, and we'll discover that we can see this image with a whole bunch of different information. So we can see the document profile, which is telling us it's sRGB, which is the whole thing about color, document dimensions. And so this is telling me that this is a 16-inch by 11-inch at 300 PPI. So do I believe this number or not if I'm going to go print? Is this truly 16 by 11? If I print it, is it going to be a good print?
No.
Well, I think I like Cassie's nod a little bit better. And the rest of you are being too quiet. So 16 by 11, and it specifies at 300 PPI. That means that if I print this photo, it will be able to print in good quality at 16 by 11 because it already says 300 PPI. Let's head over to Hue Saturation Flowers. Let's head over to this little arrow and click on Document Dimensions, and it's telling me that this will be a 26-inch by 17-inch photo at 72 PPI. Remember when we saw those numbers in Bridge, we figured out that this would not make a good photo, right? That it is not truthful, so to say. These inch numbers are not truthful if I'm interested in printing because it specifies that it's at 72 PPI. So what I would need to do to this photo is change that relationship between PPI and resolution to see how big it's going to be. So let's do that. Before I move on to this next step, any questions, you guys? More importantly, is this working? Will have your two photos open, you've been able to zoom in and zoom out, you've been able to look at change down here, the document information, you've been able to do 100% pixel, fill the screen. Is all good with all that? Give me a yes. Any questions? What I don't want is people to be falling behind on stuff. I'd rather explain it in the moment and not like have you be all puzzled by the time I get to something else. It's 10 minutes later. It's easier to explain in the moment. All right.
Question. Or well, no,
Vicky.
FYI, I'm following along, but the sound keeps cutting out regularly for me for some reason. So I'm not catching sometimes your questions.
I see what you just wrote.
But I'm able to. I think I'm following along. Like I'm able to catch up. But anyway,
You're
I don't know
getting
why
the-
it's happening tonight.
So weird. You're getting the gist of it, so that's good.
Yes. And I'll just watch again. I'll watch the whole thing again.
Yeah, but go
Is that
ahead and if there's something that seems crucial that I'm like, oh, you guys are sure and you totally didn't get it, just speak up like that and I can say it again
Okay,
because it's
thanks.
weird. All right. So yes, Rachel.
Yeah, what button were you clicking to get the document dimensions?
Okay, so down here where I see 100%, right next to it, there can be something, I don't know what yours says, but there's a teensy little arrow at the end of it. And when you click on that arrow, then you get a whole bunch of choices. And it started usually at document size, and then the document dimensions is the one that I'm at right now. Did that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So so let's head over to the hue saturate. Oh,
Quick
yes.
question.
Yeah.
The same like tangent to the dimensions, it still says it in pixels. How do you change it to inches instead?
For you here, it says it in pixels.
Yeah.
It says pixels at 300 ppi.
Yeah, it says like the 1920 by 1279 pixels. And then
All right, so it depends on the setup. It's interesting because someone had mentioned that last time. Measurement scale, no pixels. There was something that we discovered in the settings as to why it was showing up differently. And I'm trying, it's not scratch size. I don't know which one it is. I'd have to go into the preferences and to figure out why I'm seeing this in inches. And yeah, someone the other day said that too. Are you in Photoshop 2025, by the way, or in 2024?
I think 24. Yeah, 24.
Okay. I think that might have been one of the differences, but I'm not 100% sure that that's the difference. I actually have 2024 here, so I'm going to open up 2024 parallel to this, and I'm going to see if that might be it. That said, I'm going to show you a completely different place anyway, where we're going to find all this right now. So this is just if you want to take a quick gander at it. But actually, guys, the easiest thing is always to just just click Bridge again, right? And just do over there and go, oh, there's the numbers, right? But if you wanted to see it without seeing it through Bridge, you would do it that way. But hold on, because it just opened up in Photoshop. My other Photoshop just opened up. And nope. And that one, the same photo, I'm still seeing as in inches. So then it must be something in the settings. For now,
no worries.
for now, no worries, because I'm about to show you how to find and actually manipulate these numbers, which is more important, not just find out, but manipulate them. So let's head over here to hue saturation. I can look it up. Anyway, so hue saturation. Let's head over, and when I'm those of who's on a PC, remind me. I need to hold on. Let me get your answers cleared. Okay, so give me a yes if you're on a Mac and a no if you're on a PC. Okay, PC people, Mac people. Okay. Half and half. All right. So, Mac people don't see the controls right here. For Mac people, you have to go to the very top of the screen. I'm going to share my entire window for a minute to show you what I mean. You have to go way up there to find these, the rest of these tools, and we're going to go to the to use these right now. So when I reshare my screen, I'm going to again not show them, but when I talk about go to the menu bar, I'm talking about that. PC people see them right here attached to the photo, so you'll see them right next to you, okay? I'm going to reshare to show you only the short stuff, but I'm heading up there, okay? When I'm saying that I'm going to go to hold on. Every time I do that, share the screen, Zoom gets in the way. Okay. So I'm going to head over to image, and I'm going to pull down in the menu bar under the image menu at the top, and I'm going to go to image size. Now, remember how I want to teach you always, how I've just taught you a few shortcuts. I'm constantly want to teach you some for shortcuts, and some are really important to remember all the time, and others you might not need to remember all the time. But in case you ever want to know what the shortcut is for something, it's appearing right here. If there is a shortcut for it, it's telling me that it's right here. So in this case, image size would be Shift Command I, or for the PC, Shift Control I. Now, if you check on the image size all the time, you might want to learn this one. But if not, you can just use the menu bar. But otherwise, know that the things that do have shortcuts, they show up in there. Okay, so I'm opening up image size. When you first open it, it can be a pretty smallish window. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I can grab it from the bottom right and make it a bit bigger. So I'm virtually seeing the same photo that I was seeing before, but it's in a floating window on top of the other one. Yeah, Barbara?
When I hit Shift Command I, it doesn't come up.
Just go to image size. I don't know what the,
Okay. I don't know why either, but
yeah, let me see. Shift
Okay.
Command I. Oh. It's not Shift. I'm so sorry. That's Option. So sorry.
yeah, I did. Okay.
Yeah, it's Option Command I. I'm so, yeah, I was looking at it this whole
Got
time.
it.
and
That
saying wrong.
works.
Option Command I, or for PC people, it would be Alt Command I. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
So thanks for saying that, or I wouldn't have corrected myself. All right. So here we go. We're in the image size tool. And those of you who did read the handouts, when it talks about the handouts, is all about this tool. Okay. So when you get to read it, you'll recognize it because this is the one that the handout is showing you. First of all, the default is showing you this image will always show it to 100% because you're about to make decisions where you need to see it at quality. So by default, it will always be 100%. If perchance you ever change this here, then know that you should bring it back up to 100%. People want to change it because, like in the other photo, you might only see 2 beach huts and you want to see the whole thing, but you shouldn't do that because right now we're going to really want to see the what happens to the image when we change things. So we want to keep it 100%. All right. So now I've got image size, dimensions 1920 by 1720. 1920 by 1279. It's like they're my mouth, how do you call it? Tongue twister for some reason, this one. And yeah, the good old 27 by 17 inches that we don't believe, and the resolution 72. So the same stuff we've been reading about showing up right there. But notice that resolution, height, and width are linked here over on the side. There's like a thing showing you that they're linked over there. So if you guys have the resample button turned on, then it only says width and height are linked and resolution is not linked. So this little button here, the resample button, is crucially important. If yours is on, know that when you first start with this window, it should always be off. But by default, it'll be in whatever setting you left it last. So if you last used this and left it on, it'll be on. If you last use it and left it off, it'll be off. So you always need to check it, right? Because this button makes a huge difference whether you ruin this photo or not. So this is the most important button to make sure that you don't mess up with your photo. So first, let's turn it on. We want to start with it on. No, sorry, first turn it off. But right now, today I'm talking in backwards. We always want it off for safety's sake, but I just wanted to show you for a second that if you click on this link, like I just did, you lose this line that was connecting them. So don't ever click on the link itself. You want to click on it again, and you want those lines because you never want a photo to expand not proportionally, right? If you make something bigger or smaller, you want to keep it proportional. So whenever, anywhere in all of these programs, when you see a link and you touch it, you link or unlink stuff, right? So you want to make sure to keep these always linked. Occasionally there's a reason to unlink them, but for the most part, you always want them linked. Okay. All right. So let's unclick the Rex resample, which means we are not resampling. And if you're not resampling, what you're doing is you're resizing. So resizing is safe and healthy for an image. So say that I want to see what this image shows up at if I do want it at 300 ppi. So I'm going to head over here into resolution. I'm going to write 300. And instead of putting out the calculator, Photoshop, all you need to do is write 300. And now it's telling me that this will be a 6.5 by, oh, I don't know, 6.5 by 4.2 photo, basically a 6 by 4. Now this I can believe. Does that make sense? Now,
Yeah.
up here, nothing has changed. It still says 1920 by 1279, and it's still 7 megabytes. In fact, if I go back to 72, I'll see that while this keeps changing, nothing is happening there. What if I go to 150? Well, at 150, it's telling me that I can print it at, almost 13 by 8, but that will not be a good print. So I can move this to my heart's content. What if I want to print this as a 1 by 2 image? So I go 1 or 1 by 2. So it would be 2 by 1 in this case because it's vertical. 2 by 1 image. So I click 2 over there, and that's giving me 960 resolution. What do you guys think? Is that a problem?
Yes.
Why?
It's
Mm,
too
I
big.
mean, I'm not questioning you. I'm
yeah,
saying
It
why.
should be higher
Mhm.
because it's by inch.
Yeah. Remember the golden number here is 300. So this is higher than 300. So in fact, it's not a problem.
Okay, the
But
resolution.
the reason it is and it isn't a problem. So it's one of those like
It's
gray.
like too many pixels per inch.
Yeah, it's a gray answer. Let me explain why. It's not a problem per se, because if you have a printer that can only handle 300 pixels per inch, and a printer, it translates into 300 dots per inch. If you ever hear DPI, that's
true.
dots per inch. That's the printer who drops 300 little drops of ink in one little inch, right? And it just ignores the rest of it. It doesn't make it better or worse. It just ignores it. So that, in that sense, 960 doesn't matter. It's fine. This will be a perfectly good high quality 2 by 1 photo. In fact, let's go ahead and let's write 2 in the width. Let's get a resolution 960. And now let's say, okay. Nothing looks any different except for if you were to have your rulers on, which I happen to have them on. And if you don't have them on, do a Command or Control R and your rulers will turn on. So Command or Control R. I have no rulers, Command or Control R. Now I have rulers, and it's showing me that this is a 1 and 2 inch photo. And that's that little number there. And okay, but it looks exactly the same as before. So what I want you to do now instead, let's go at Command or Control P for print, or go up to File, Print. And the preview for this is now showing me an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And yeah, if this is 8.5 by 11, that's about a 2 by 1 inch photo. Does that make sense? So we have resized it, but we've resized it in a way that is non-destructive. Okay, so this is a non-destructive modification, and you're going to hear me talk about non-destructive modification up the gazoo, especially if you take my Photoshop class. But this is Command or Control P or File Print, and you get a little preview. Let me cancel that. And now let's go back to image size. And now we're going to go ahead and put this at 300. This is the ideal for printing. We're going to say okay. And now we're going to say again, Control or Command P. And there we go. This is about, if this is an 8.5 piece of paper, this is, yeah, about 6, right? About 6 by 4. Does that make sense? Give me a yes if that's working for everyone, if all is good,
What
if
did you
everyone's
change the
happy.
resolution to?
Okay, I changed it to 300.
300, thank you.
I went to 300 resolution, and remember, I'm not resampling. So nothing is happening to the pixels. All I'm doing is I've got a piece of chewing gum in my mouth, and I'm just kind of chewing away. And I'm stretching it out, and I'm putting it in a little tight ball. I have the same amount of pixels, same amount of gum, making it bigger or smaller, but nothing is happening. And when I want to test it, and when I go Command or Control P, yep, I have resized it. Okay, let me clear your answers. Okay, I'm going to cancel again. Now let's do one last time. Not shift, Option Command I or image size, or Alt Control I for PCs. And now let's do it the other way around. What if I have a frame that's 16 by 20? That's a very typical frame, right? So let's go and put in a 20 up there, which gives me 20 by 13, which means that if I wanted a 16 by 20 frame, 14 by 20, this wouldn't be enough. So really I would have to go into the 14, and I would end up having a 21. I'd have to cut off some edges, right? But say that my frame needed a 14 by 20 image. Now it's like 90, 91. That's it. It didn't stop me. It didn't make a little noise. It just did it for me. So let's give that a try. Let's say okay and try to print that. And basically what it's telling me is, yeah, lady, you got too much print here. My 8.5 by 11, I can't fit the photo. See how it's showing me only a little bit of it? Yeah. So this is a great way to check your preview, make sure that your sizing is falling correctly. And just so you know, if you were to need to print this in little bits and pieces on an 8.5 piece of paper, you could do this. You could print this one, see where it stops, then say print again and move this over there, print that, move this over there, print that, move this over there. Like you'd have 6 prints, and then you'd have to cut them and paste them, right? Sometimes you need to do mock-ups of stuff, and you can still do that. And that's what you would have to do. You would have to move this around here and then say print, and then, kind of make sure you got all 6 spots. If all you had was an 8.5 by 11, you really needed to do a little mock-up of a poster or something. All right, we'll say cancel. All right, so we haven't done anything destructive yet to this photo. Now, let's go to image size. And this time, let's set it back to 0. Let's go to 300 ppi. So let's just keep it like what we consider a good print, 6 by 4. And now let's click on resample. You okay with the sound, Vicky? You're following?
Yes.
Well, you said,
although I have to jump off in about a minute.
oh, that's true. You're about to leave. That's okay. So here we go. So now we said resample, and the most
You want
important
it
thing
on
is that
automatic? I'm set near a snap.
yeah, leave it at automatic.
Automatic.
99% of the time, 99.9% of the times you want to leave this at automatic, and don't want to go into that right now. I'll explain first what this is before I explain
didn't
that.
change it back. I
Yeah.
forgot.
So when you say resample, the resolution disconnects from width and height. Now, why is this so crucial? Because if right now I decide to make any change in the size or the resolution, it will change one and not the other. So say that I leave it at 300 because I want a good print, right? But let me go ahead and make this be, what had we done before? Over here, we'd written a 14. So let's click 14 and the height. The computer did it for me, but look what it had to do. My file size was 7 megabytes. It went up to 75 megabytes. My pixels, remember, they were like 1200 or something, and now I have 6,000 pixels.
Much bigger file.
Photoshop had to invent pixels. And it's a process called interpolation. It just looked at the image and I said, okay, you have a green pixel here. Let me give you more green pixels. Let me have one. But now look at this image. It's at 100% still. What do you think about the quality?
It's pretty good.
Not bad, but not
Not
as
perfect.
like before. Now here's what's up. Over the years, this has gotten so much better. It used to be that you would just move it up a couple of inches and it would be a big old blur. This interpolation engine has gotten much, much better. You would have to, but that said, if you were to print this right now, it would truly look blurry. So it's already bad enough to look blurry. It's not sharp, sharp. If you really try to see the lines of these petals, but you're right, not bad. If this is the only photo you have of Aunt Lucy who passed away 10 years ago, well, hey, this is a great, it's not bad. But it's not ideal. So there is a way inside of Photoshop, and I will show you a bit later how to do this with a new artificial intelligence tool that will look at it, will add the pixels like that, but will also keep it sharp, and it'll be almost as good as the original. But for now, we should know that you don't want to interpolate upwards, okay? So you don't want to interpolate making an image to go bigger than it was. Plus, now we kind of lost the connection. It's like, what was the original? I don't know. This is like, I don't remember what we started at. It was some number. Actually, I remember it, but I'm not going to say. So now let's go ahead and do it this other way around. What if we wanted to print this, like I said before, at 2 by 1? So let's get this a 2 by 1, and we kept it at 300 ppi, same as before. And this time, what Photoshop did is it got rid of pixels. It went from the 1200 we have, it went down to 200 to 600 by 400. Does that make sense? And from 7 megabytes, it went to 700 kilobytes, which although it's a bigger number, 1,000 kilobytes is equivalent to 1 megabyte. So this is about, like you're saying, 700 kilobytes to 7,000 kilobytes, right? So it's much smaller now. So it basically dumped pixels. I always think of this as I don't know why visually I always think of this as a one of those air balloons going up, and that they need to keep going up, so they start dropping the boxes of sand over. I've always wondered about that image. So what if someone in the underneath gets hit with a bag of sand? I don't know about that, but haven't you ever, doesn't the picture show you them like throwing out ballast or something? Anyway, whole point is we dump a whole bunch of pixels. Photoshop is ruining this photo. Yet at 100%, it still looks perfect. Down sampling, Photoshop does a great job. It's very tiny, but if this were a business card, it would be a beautiful little photo of my of a flower arrangement, wouldn't it? So this time, let's say okay to this one. Let's say okay. Boom. So now I have truly committed that change, and I have now done a very destructive modification. Okay?
Isn't it only destructive if you save it? Or is it even though you made it smaller?
No.
When you go back larger, you won't have the pixels?
Well, we're going to talk quite a bit about all of these factors. That's a big point in this class. So a great question. At this point, you still have a saving grace that you can undo this last action. Okay. So this photo isn't ruined and gone forever. But if I were to close this file, then that's it. I have forever lost these pixels. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right now, Photoshop gives you the saving grace of being able to go backwards and undo this. But at this point, this is considered an absolute destructive modification. If I keep going forward and then close it, print it, and the thing I know, when I come back, a few months later and I want to print a postcard of it, I'll be like, whoa, what happened to this photo? I can only print a good business card. I cannot print a postcard anymore, nor can I print a little small flyer for my business anymore because I have lost that quality. Now, let's go back to edit to image size. And let's say that it is 2 weeks later. And now I did want to make that small poster, which would be, I think they're like 12 by 8 or something like that. So let's hit it a little 12 over there. Yeah, 12 by 8. Photoshop added from 600 to 400 pixels. It went to 3624. It interpolated. It went from 700K to basically 24 megabytes, which like 2400K. Look at what's happening at 100%.
Blurry.
More than blurry. Not only is it blurry this time, but it also has little halos. Look at all around the image. There's like that wide outline around everything. So this is Photoshop doing its best to turn a 1-inch photo into a 12-inch photo. And it's not bad. Like, this is not bad, but I would not want to receive a photo from my florist saying, hey, I'm going to do your wedding and this is the best I can do. You know what I mean? If this was a little poster, it's not bad in comparison to what those of us who've been using Photoshop forever used to be able to see. This would have been a big mass of just a blurry mass of nothingness. So yeah, it's not bad, but it's also not good. Why? Because it didn't take into account those pixels that I had originally. I had lost them. I had dumped them. So it had to take just the pixels that it had for the 1x2 to turn it into a 12 by 8. And this is just too much. Okay. Now, that said, let's say okay to that.
Well,
Again,
before you change it,
mhm.
when I have my hand up there to move it, but I press the left button on my mouse, it pixelates.
Yeah, when you try to do the preview, yeah, it'll show
No,
you.
just to move it when I
Oh yeah, because it's fine. When you move it and when you let go of your hand, it'll unpixelate. It's just trying to save your computer processing power to not show it to you
okay.
always at high level. That's fine. All right. So now we're left with this image, which is completely ruined. And if I keep going, it won't fix itself. If I were to go back and make it again that 6x4, it'll be a 6x4 based on this, right? So it'll just it keeps compounding itself. It's worse and worse and worse. So the message is, yes, you can downsample. No, you can't upsample. And caveat emptor, there is a tool, which is not this one now, where you can upsample, but it's not really upsampling. It's artificial intelligence doing a completely different thing to make me have a perfect 12 by 8. You can do that, but not with resizing the image, nor with resampling the image, okay? Now, fortunately, we do have the chance to undo all of the work that we did. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the history. And do you guys see this little icon here at the top of your tools?
Yes.
That's my good old history tool, which is going to save me because I can undo all of this. And in this case, I can hit the very top one to go back to the very beginning. And now I have my big old chart. But what for a minute, I don't want you guys to do anything. Stop moving your hands. Do not click on anything else because I want you to learn a bit about the history. So now I moved back on the history and it was like, yay, all is good. All my history went gray. What if I go, no, but I didn't want to go to the beginning. I wanted to go somewhere in the middle. Just watch this portion. Please watch it because I'll show you the good and the bad of this. I'm going to go to the middle one. I go, oh, that's when I was doing whatever. And how about this one? And I can keep looking down here now to see which one I'm in. Now I'm in the 21 by 14. And then I go to that one. And then I go to this one. And I go to that one. All of these history levels are available to me right now. And watch. The whole like myth of, don't you have a history, that Barbara, you said, yeah, I can still go out
Mine
to the
didn't,
beginning.
mine did
Hold-
not gray out.
Hold on. Let me just finish this conversation first, and then I'll go into the details. But as much as I can now, what if this were something I really wanted? And history has 50 actions. I can do 50 of these layers, right? Before we start losing them. So I can do 50 different things to this image and I can still go way back. But once I've done 60 or 70, the first 20 are lost to me. They're gone, right? I can only go back 50 times back. But watch, say that I go back and say that this is something I really, really wanted. This is good. This is where I want it to be. But I was just checking this out and this out and this out and this out. And then I went, yeah, I really want that one, but let me try this thing instead. Just watch. I'm going to do anything. I don't care what. I'm going to grab something and do something. Keep your eyes on this. What happened to my history? Poof, right? So the instant I did something else up higher on the history, it's like I have created a new path for my image, a whole new history. So no matter what, it's not anymore now about going back and unsaving or saving. Had I worked so hard to get to this result, just by doing one tiny little touch, I lost all that work. Now, we didn't like the result we had. We had made a mess. But what if after 50 actions, I had gotten to something really good. This photo was perfectly good. And then in my history, I go back to check on something. And then I lost, 2 hours of work. Does that make sense? So be careful with the history. When you have it live and you're doing stuff to it, you have to make sure that by the time you do something new, you are where you exactly want to be and that you're willing to lose all the rest of the work. Okay? So now I'm going to have everyone click on the beginning, which is this one, which is down to absolute 0. And now, I'm going to click and drag it back. And so now we're back at 0. Now, I kind of forgot. If you guys still have the bad one, if you still go to the bad one, I need you guys to do a little screenshot. I'm forgetting today. I need people here to be the reminders of screenshotting. Otherwise, let's go straight to image size and we can run through that really quickly. Let's go over here to resample and put in a little 2 over there, say okay, and then go back to the resample and now say 12. And no, was it 20? This one was even worse because I had 72 PPI instead of 300. So it's even worse than before. And I'll say, okay, so that's the quality I ended up with because I did it with 300 PPI versus this time I did it with 72 PPI. But anyway, so I want a bit of a screenshot of that, the image size box. Okay, this one here with your bad quality image. Mine is worse than even than before. Do a screenshot of that. And let's head over to the handouts and let me get the link again for you guys in the chat. Here it is. So let's go ahead and grab that and post it in here. And don't forget to put your name at the top. And then this is resizing versus resampling. Okay, to downsample. Not okay to upsample. Either way, this is a very destructive modification. So even though I say it's okay to downsample, it's okay as long as you know that you're losing the rest of the quality of the image. Let me just say that if you ever are going to downsample to turn that into a 1x2 for business card, make sure that you have a saved as, like this is a duplicate of your photo, or you save as, or, and I'm going to show you now in a minute, you can do an export of your business card and stay with your image as is. Okay, so I'm gonna cancel out of that. I want to end up with the photo unmessed, unmodified by the time we're done. But if anyone needs help, where's Marilyn? Marilyn?
I'm here.
Okay, so let me tell you what this is all about because you
Yeah,
weren't here the other
I
day.
got lost right there.
Yeah. So if you clicked on the link I put in the chat, you'll get here. What we did in Photoshop, this is how you kind of turn in your work. So
Okay.
what we did is we did a screenshot. So I looked up and I forgot that I hadn't explained this to you a bit earlier. So a screenshot, do you know, you're on a Mac or on a PC? I don't remember.
A Mac.
Okay. So Shift Command 4 gives you this little target kind of shape.
Yeah.
And then you click and drag and you make a screenshot. And what we're going to be doing is we're doing screenshots. And for example, if I were working on layers, I'd want a layers screenshot. Like I'd want a screenshot of the kind of things that we're working on. It's okay at this point because I didn't mention it when we're doing stuff. But when you do that on a Mac, it goes onto your, that screenshot sits on your desktop.
Yes.
So then we're going to head over to the Padlet.
Okay.
And then I want you to go to the plus sign that sometimes for some people it's in the bottom, some in the right, some in the middle. And then put your name at top under subject. It's your name. And then you can click on this purple icon, the first one of them all. There are many purple ones, the first icon. And then the Finder window opens, and I'm noticing that when I'm sharing the screen right now, you're not seeing the Finder window, but a Finder window will open.
I know it.
Yeah. And then you go to your desktop and you select your screenshot that you just did and you upload, and here it comes. And then you write about whatever it is that we're learning. Okay.
Okay.
And then you say publish, and then that'll be me seeing that you are, kind of continuing and catching up with the class. So here I see Rachel, here I see Peggy. Cassie, you just did the bridge one. Okay, so give me screenshots of this work. And then, by the way, Marilyn, you can also do the screenshots after class, like do the screenshots and then post them after class, right? But I just, really quick one on this. This is that handout that I wanted you to read, which is basically what we were talking about today. So what you can do here after class is just click on this one. It's a PDF. It'll, you can either read it on the screen or you can just download it on your computer and have it. But that's the handout that explained a lot of what we're going through today.
Okay, great.
And then over here, I'm going to be putting the homework usually for the next class, right?
Cool.
And of course, view the recording if you miss class and that kind of thing. All right. So, let's go ahead and take our break. Where's my, I need to look at the calendar, at the schedule. I think I'm a bit past my, yeah, I'm a little past the middle. So I'm gonna stop my share. So let's go ahead and take a break. I always forget this class is so much shorter than my regular one. It's only 2.5 hours. So I'm usually giving a 15-minute break. Can we just do a 10-minute break, or do you guys need 15?
That's fine.
10 or 15. I'm noticing that when I give 15 on this evening one, it seems like it's so fast. It goes by so fast. So let's do it's 6:14. Let's be back at 6:30. There we go. So it's a next, no, That would be 15. 24, 625. Okay. I made a mess with how I wrote be back at 625, but I'll see you guys then in 10 minutes. All right, I'm back and I'm folding it. Managed to. No, my jacket was waiting here on the chair from where I'd taken it off. Okay. Oh, I think Cassie, you got something fuzzy going on there. I like that. All right. Where are we? Okay. So, I know that what we're talking about right now is kind of dry, but it's kind of the crux of so much of what we're going to do to really understand the relationship between, file size, pixels, needs. Because when I start opening all the other programs, I'm going to show you how that looks in those programs. Because when you're creating something in InDesign, you're doing a brochure and you just put in a photo. How do you know if that photo is going to work? Because it's going to look on screen just fine. Why? Because on screen, which is what we're doing, things will always look good, even if the resolution isn't right. At 72 ppi, an image is going to look great. It's when you print it that it isn't going to look good. So then in InDesign, nothing's going to tell you unless, and I'm going to show you how to see that number, where to look for something. And so that's why we're exploring this whole conversation first, so that then we can go both in Illustrator and InDesign and see over there, when you bring in a photo, is it the right photo? Is it going to work? Should we do another one? Should we go back into Photoshop and make it bigger, et cetera, or smaller, et cetera, et cetera. So the one thing I forgot to say when we were saying, can an image be 960 ppi and is that okay? On the one hand, yes, it's okay. Some printers can handle the difference and makes it look a bit bigger. Most don't. But the only time it's a problem is, imagine that you're printing a book with 600 images, or like the Independent, a newspaper, something that has hundreds of photos inside of it. If each one of those photos is right sized, meaning if it's going to be a photograph that's going to be 2x3 in the newspaper, and you have given it a 2x3 at 300 ppi size, it's smaller than the original photo, but then that's the one you drop into InDesign, or you give for the advertisement that your boss is asking you to you send to the newspaper. It's going to look great and it's going to print great. When instead you send the big one, even if you resized it to 3x2, which is the right size, what you're doing is you've got a huge image that's going to show up as 3x2. And if a big newspaper has 300 images that are humongous, it takes that much more time to process. Does that make sense? So if you are processing, when I'm in class, I always do this. I can't hear, but we downsized an image to 2x1 at 300 ppi, and we print it, and it just goes and it prints immediately. And then we leave a resized, instead of downsampled and resampled, we resize it down to 2x1, but we leave it being a huge 5,000 pixel file, and we send it to print, and it's like crunk, 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 and that the printer over there literally makes noises, and like 35 seconds later to 2 minutes later, depending on that, finally it prints it out, and it's the same. They look the same. They're 2x1 little prints, but the computer has to process so much more information. The printer has to process so much information to put out that little 2x1. Does that make sense, you guys? Because you're sending it a huge file instead of a tiny file, and it just kind of parses it in a second. So if you're printing a book or something, a brochure with 6 images, one big one and then 3 little inserts and one middle size in the back, that's 6 images. If you right size them, right, then it's much more efficient to print it, the mock-ups that you're doing at home, everything, versus having to wait until your computer crunches through the huge files that all those sizes 6 are, even when they're going to show up as a little and a big and a middle in your brochure, right? So that's what I mean by right sizing. But at first, if you haven't designed your brochure yet, how do you know if you're going to want this one to be that size or this size or this size or that size, right? So you might want to first have an idea of your design, Then you come back to Photoshop and you give it a size, even if it's not exactly right. Just don't have an image that has 5,000 pixels. Don't leave it at whatever it needs to be, a 3x2. At least bring it down to what it could be as a 4x6. And then that one you bring down, and you're not wasting so much computer processing time. Does that make sense? Hi, Odessa. Thanks for joining us. You came right at the beginning of the second part, like we just finished our break, so good timing. So I know you've been part of this conversation in other classes before, Odessa. We just did a whole bunch of talk about resolution and Photoshop and how to resize and upsize and downsize and upsample, downsample, and da, da, da. So that's kind of what we've been covering.
Okay.
Just to kind of give you an idea of where we're at. So I'm going to share my screen again. We're going to go over to Bridge. Oh, Odessa, you were here last class. I forgot to have, can you please post your Bridge with your class files in a screenshot of that for last, Monday's class in the Padlet at some point. And let me give you the link again because
My Bridge with my class files?
yeah, a screenshot because I had forgot to ask you for last week. Let me actually see. Here's and I just asked everyone to do a screenshot that last week
Okay.
last class I forgot to ask for that one as a second part. And then today we've been doing some resolution in here. So later you can post some resolution images. Was anyone unable to do, I'm seeing here that maybe Marilyn, you didn't get a chance to post here. I'm more than happy to stay a little bit after class or just a few
I
minutes to
could do
show
it
you
after
how to do
class.
this. Okay, but if you need support with posting, let me know.
I think.
Okay. All right. Cool. So let's head back to Photoshop and Odessa, we have the hue saturation flowers open, and then we have this one open. It'll be a bit harder for you to find it. So let me show you. And Bridge, once you get to the class files, head over
Okay.
to magazine article and double click on magazine article. And then
Okay, I'm there.
and then inside of links, that's where we have the beach huts.
Oh, okay.
And then
Great.
the
Thank
other
you.
one is just at the base level, at the main level, hue saturation. If you open those two, you'll kind of be with where we're at.
Okay.
And all the things that we changed in this one, by the way, you guys, now go to the history and go back to the beginning, go back to the top so that we're back to having what it had to start with. And if you guys don't remember what we had to start with, this one was set at 72 PPI, right? And I set it over here. It was set up at 1920, 72 PPI. And then the other one that we're working on was set already up. It was like 5,000 or something like that. And it was set already up at 300 PPI. Remember that? Now, the reason I'm saying that is because now we're going to do one more image, but this time we're going to create a new image. So let's head over to Photoshop. And from this one, we are going to create a small version of this photo in really high quality for print. We're going to create that and actually save it as, so we're going to go to image size. And we're going to, well, you tell me, should I resample or not resample in order to create a good printable, high quality 2x1 image? What should I do first? Anyone want to throw out an opinion?
Okay, I'm looking at it and I could be all washed up, but the width and the height, they're pretty large. If we're doing printable, the resolution is 72, so we'd have to bring that up to 240 or 300 resolution for print, right?
Yeah. So perfect. What's perfect? Good analysis of the situation, especially since you weren't even here for the whole first part. So that's awesome. My lessons from another time worked on you. So how do I get there safely first? Do I now just write 300 up there?
No. You would
Okay.
do your width and the height that you're thinking about printing in and see what the
Mhm.
resolution is to see if you have to do more. Is that
Yes
Oh.
and no. There's one thing missing first.
Okay.
And I think Peggy's like, I think you have an idea. You're one of your bursts in to tell us. What is it, Peggy?
You check off resample.
Yes. We need to first check off resample. Phew. So we don't add or take away any pixels, okay? And this is why I really wanted to make clear. Wherever you're at, if you were already on off, fine. But since we had just done this, I'm pretty sure most of you were still on. And that said, I was asking you on mine. If I were to now start changing things, all these numbers would start going haywire, right? So first turn this off, then go to 300. And by the way, you can do it in other ways and directions. And as long as you look up here and remember your original, as long as you're going under your original, you'll be fine. But if you hadn't checked and you begin to do stuff, you might never really know where you were. So you would have to cancel and start again. Versus now we're set at what we know. 300 is printable, it's 6x4. It's still too big. So now what do we do to get down to that small?
You change the width to 2.
Yes, but since we want to right size it, now I do hit the resample and I change the width to 2. That way, I wanted a right sized business card sized photo that would print good quality 300. And so now I know that the numbers are correct and this is good. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's okay if you went by it in a different way. And I'm going to cancel. You guys go stay there for a minute. It's not like it's horrible because had I instead left it at resample and made this be 2, I would have gone like, oh, that's not too good. And then I would have gone over here and gone 300. Since I'm still under, it kind of would have worked out. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm at the same exact point that you are. But this is because we're going much smaller. But if you were anywhere near the edge of what's right, then these numbers could give you some weird results. Does that make sense? So it's okay if you resampled knowing that you're going from something really big to really small. Just start by resampling. That's good. But to be safe and secure, do all your basic going back to 300 first without the resample on. Then you're safe. Then you know where you're starting. Then you go and make it small. Okay. That's just like precautionary. But I ended up in the same place. So the first answer Odessa gave of first degree numbers wasn't necessarily wrong. It was just more risky, right? Versus this is safer. All right, cool. So now if everyone is here and everyone has these numbers, Marilyn, Barbara, I think Barbara's not here back. I think Marilyn is here. Let's go for it and say, okay. Now we have definitely downsampled, degraded, and destructive modification, right? And yes, if we were to save this file, it would ruin it. So we don't want to save, right? This one, we want to always keep the original. The biggest one we can should always be in our computer. So now, and here's the part that throws people for a loop, because for eons, we had been able to do save as and save it as a JPEG. But depending on the changes you've given it or not, you might not be given the choice to save as a JPEG anymore. Now, the way we did it, it's all good. We can save as a JPEG, which means it's going to give us a new image. It's not going to say, save over the new one. Now, another possibility would have been to go to the export, right? We could have just exported from there. We're going to do the export a little bit later anyway. So now we'll explore the save as first. But as long as you find the JPEG format to save as from, the most important thing is to give it a new name, right? So call this one a business card or 2 inches by 1 inch or whatever it is that you need to know that this is what you're doing. So I'm going to just call this one 2 by 1, for example, right there. And it's not exactly 2 by 1, but that gives me an idea. Now here's the problem. The save as, by the way, disappeared. It disappeared for like 3 or 4 versions, but people really screamed and yelled because they loved the save as a JPEG. So they brought it back. So let me explain why why Photoshop had taken it away. Because now when we say save, right? So make sure to change the name, at the ending. When we say save, now it's going to give us this tiny little window to ask us how to compress this image. And this is a very bad way to figure out how to compress this image. If we're going to print, that's fine. Because for print, you're always going to go to the very largest choice. Always, always to the largest choice. Because the file size doesn't matter to us if we go to print. So just go to the highest quality compression, which is what's happening here. The image is being taken and it's being compressed by JPEG. And I'm going to explain a little bit more when we go to the next tool. And what you want is the least amount of compression, which gives you a larger file, right? So maximum quality is actually minimum compression. So maximum quality, largest file, we say okay, but this isn't a very useful, and you'll see why. There's another tool that is really going to give us a much better control over this, but right now we'll just say okay to that. And this is so important. We have left this image at its downsized size. So if I close the file right now, the most important thing is to tell it to not save the changes, or the best thing I can do is go back to my history and undo, right? Just to make sure, because we didn't want to lose all that quality. And now when we close this file, which we can easily close it from going to the name here, and if you're on a PC, the X is on the right side of the file name. On the tab, if you're on a Mac, it's on the left side. Just click on that. Do you want to save the changes? Say no, don't save. I got the file. When I got what I wanted out of it, leave this one in don't save mode. And now we just have the beach huts. But let's go back to Bridge. And we should now have two versions of the flower. One, which is the original one. And if I look at the metadata, it's the 72 PPI, 1920, yada, yada. And then when I go to the one that's a 2x1, it's only got 600 by 400, 300 PPI. So that means that this is true. Dimensions in inches, since it's at 300 PPI, this is true. 2x1.3, this is exactly what it's going to print out, right? And remember, we did a whole preview before we know that this is correct. This is going to be a really nice, tiny, tiny image, really good quality, tiny image. All right. So perfect. We got those two. Now, let's open InDesign. Okay. So I'm going to open InDesign. It takes a little bit of time to open in the background, so I'm going to wait until it opens up. Before I continue, any questions? It's all good. Everything is caught up. You're good. Give me a yes. And remember, this is also a good time to ask things that have been like, what if? How come? Little things that are popping up in your head. Please make sure to ask me. Don't just live with the intrigue when I'm here to answer. You'll have a lot of time with me not here to answer, to have your questions. But if I'm here, please ask them. Ooh, my tea went cold. All right. So I'm going to add my InDesign screen to this. And here we go. We've got InDesign opened up. And we are going to open a new file. And we're going to spend a little bit more time on this window than we did the other day, which was very minimal. We're going to go to print. We're interested in printing something. So I'm going to hit print. And when you just hit print, it gives you the default 8.5 by 11. It's hard to recognize because it's in picas, so we'll switch to inches. You can switch the settings in the preferences so that it always opens up in inches, but otherwise it's not a big deal to come over here because you'll know that you have no idea what it's saying, so you'll remember to do this one. 8.5 by 11. We're gonna go ahead and go with just one page, so we're not doing anything in particular or special. We're not saying yes or no to any of the other choices right now. All we want is a basic create. So go down here to create. All the default settings are fine and say create. And so here we go. We have our basic one page. And in Photoshop, this is a canvas, right? And most importantly, I didn't get a chance to show you. So let me just demo this. Well, let's go. Let's go back to Photoshop. I want to show you something and have you guys feel it. So I'm going to show you the difference between InDesign and Photoshop now. So click back on Photoshop. Remember that I'm using the power bar here to go between one and the other, and it's just click, click, click. So I'm not moving things around. If you keep moving things out of the way to get to the other program, it's being very inefficient. I'm just clicking on the taskbar if you're a PC, the dock if you're a Mac, to go from Bridge to Photoshop to InDesign really quickly. All right. So in Photoshop, now this image, the top top tool is called the move tool. And when I try to move this thing, because it's a move tool and I click and drag, it's like, nope, nope, this is not able to be moved. Don't bother to read why I cancel, and let me explain. It's because when you first open an image, the background image is locked. See that little guy there, the little lock? So let's go ahead and click on that lock to unlock it. And now you've created a layered file. It's as simple as that. Now this file cannot be saved as a JPEG. Even though you don't see other layers, the fact that we've unlocked it, this is a layered file. Well, what's the advantage or not of a layered file? Well, you can move this around now. So I'm going to click my mouse in here and I'm going to move it around. And this has been unlocked from its edges. But notice that it disappears. And this is what I was saying, that the pasteboard area that is very useful in Illustrator and in InDesign is just hiding our things. It acts like a mask. It acts like this is a hole and you're seeing the image through it in Photoshop. Does that make sense? So this is going to be very useful in the other apps, but in Photoshop, this is saying, well, this is the limit of what we can see. This little guy right there, all these transparent, all these little black, gray, they're gray and white little boxes. That means transparency. That means nothing. So if I were to print this image like that, this would just be white paper, you know, photo paper. And this would be the only piece that would print. The rest of the photo is gone. Now notice that I do have some lines here when I hover over it telling me, well, this is where my photo is, right? So it's not like I can't tell how far it's gone. But if I try to put it back in the middle and center it again, did you see those pink lines that are helping me? Those are smart guides. And they're basically telling me, okay, oh, yeah, there you go. You got it there. Keep moving to the right and boom, there, you got it there. So now you know that you've centered it and life is good. And it did this little snap. And the snap is a tool that all these apps have. When you get close enough to where it should be or where the computer thinks it should be, it kind of snaps into that spot. Now, if you ever want something measured exactly by the millimeter and you don't want it to snap, you need to turn the snap-ish feature off. I'll show you how, because sometimes you just want to leave it right there, but you can't because boom, it snaps. Once you're near enough, it snaps into place. So just so you know, it's a feature that's supposed to be helpful, but every now and then it's a problem, in which case you can turn that feature off. In this case, the place I would turn it off from was from the view menu, and see how the snap is turned on. So if you were to turn the snap off, all you need to do is choose snap, and now it's turned off. And see how you're not getting the smart guides and you'll have to guess yourself. And trust me, you'll rarely guess right. It'll always be like a little mini pixel on or off, right? So unless you really don't need it because you specifically want something, let's go back to view and click on snap so it turns on again, and then you can leave that snap feature turned on again. Okay? Is everyone good with the snap? I forgot to clean your feedback. If you're good at the snap, you're able to turn it on and off and to experience the differences, let me know. And if I did it too fast or if I lost you, then I'm happy to show you that again. And one thing I don't want, for better or for worse, I'm sad that some of the newer people to the class aren't here. That means, and Cassie is really on top of it, and Marilyn a while ago, but she did some of this stuff, and the rest of you have practices. I'm not having to repeat things a lot, but that might also make you feel that you don't dare say, no, I didn't get it. Please stop and repeat. And I want you to know that I'm totally happy if you guys say, can you clarify this? Or can you explain a bit more? Or it's the good time to go more in depth into some things. If you guys want to ask something to go to drill in a little bit more, because for the most part, you guys are just doing it. Okay, cool. So now let's go to InDesign. And now let me show you how different InDesign is with respect to the pasteboard. First of all, what's the same? Oh, yes, Rachel?
I was going back one thing. I didn't see my pasteboard is just all gray like yours shows now. I didn't see the pasteboard with the various squares.
Oh, did you unlock the layer?
Let me take a look.
So it would be looking like this, that it has a little lock and you need to click on the lock and then it wouldn't have a lock there anymore.
Yeah, it says layer 0 and there's no lock.
Good. So now you can grab with, as long as you have the move tool selected, which is the top one, then you can just click and drag. And that's when you'll see it floating. Is that
Yeah,
working?
I'm not seeing it floating.
Okay, so share your screen.
Okay.
And there's always some like thing happening or not happening that I can keep an eye. Yeah, there it is. You've got,
You've got
okay.
the bounding box.
Hold on. I need to, my Zoom disappeared. Give me a sec. Here we go. Oh, yeah, you have a feature there that I don't like. So, and your tools are missing. So here, let's do this. First of all, move all your Photoshop in. Like you need to move it all in, even if you go over, zoom a little bit, which is on your left, but yeah, move that in. Now grab that box that you had just go back to exactly what you did, that you were moving that window around. Go back to that
this
gray.
is the Zoom window?
No, go back to the beach huts.
This one?
Go to the name beach huts. Put your mouse on the name beach huts. Yeah, there. Now click on that and see if you can drag it a quarter of an inch in and wait until you see a blue line appear. Move it upwards a tiny tad. Oh, it's in the other setting. Okay, yeah, you don't have it in that setting. Okay, so let's do this. Grab your mouse and head way over here to the, let me get my pencil.
Far right.
Move way over here and see the workspaces. Yeah, click on that. Click on the workspaces. Yeah. And, oh, I'm not seeing your pull down. Sometimes it doesn't zoom. Choose reset essentials. Choose essentials first. I'm not seeing it, so yeah, there we go. And then click again and then choose reset essentials. Sometimes Zoom doesn't show the windows. Okay, so now that it reset your essentials, okay, now head over here to the window, way over there. Yeah, click on window.
Okay.
Click on that. Oh, because I can't see your menu. It's not showing me your menu. Okay, let me go to mine to see what the menu should be saying because I don't remember that one by heart. Okay, so go down to arrange.
Okay.
And then choose consolidate to all tabs. Okay. Nope, that didn't do it. So instead of consolidate to all tabs, go to window, workspace, arrange, and yeah, it should be consolidate to all tabs.
Or consolidate all 2 tabs.
No,
No, go down one more and go to the word tile. Let's see. No, tile is not it. I can't see since I can't see your thing, it's driving me crazy. I'm trying to get you to get okay, let's do this. Sometimes since I can't see your windows, it's not letting me, here, let's do this. I'm gonna request remote control. Can you see if you can say yes to that? Okay, so now don't move your mouse, okay? And let me see if, without seeing your windows, if I can do this. I'm not sure if I can, but okay. Let me give this a try. This is what I'm trying to get to tab in. And come on. It tries to show itself to me and it stops. You guys, is it the same for you guys that you don't see the window,
Yeah.
the menu? Yeah, I'm gonna stop your share. Can you share again just in case it's a feature glitch? And if not, I'll walk you through it again.
For a sec.
Mm-hmm.
Still trying to find my Zoom. Where am I? I've moved it around. Okay.
You should be able to see it on your tab on your, yeah, there we go. Okay, so now let me do request remote control. Give me a yes. Okay, now don't move your mouse. All right.
Okay.
First of all, I need your Photoshop window up. And this is what I was saying about having like windows and different like here's your InDesign. So I'm going to minimize your InDesign and I'm going to minimize for a second your bridge and I'm going to bring up your Photoshop tools. Where are they? Here they are. Okay, so I'm going to it's like your Photoshop is in full screen mode. Can you hit the escape key right now? Oh, hold on. Hold on. It's like you had this going on there. Okay. Can you hit the escape key right now?
I did.
Okay, good. I just needed, I can't do that for you. So let me see now. Nope, it's still not. Okay. If I go over here, let me say essentials and now let me say reset essentials. Windows, arrange. This is not tabbing itself. Anyway, where's your other window? Your other, at the bottom of window, oh, there. So you don't have the other one open anymore? Okay, and your contextual taskbar is gone. I'm going to turn it on again. There we go. We need that. And it's letting me now. Okay. Workspace, arrange. Come on. Ah, come on, open up arrange. It's not. How frustrating. Okay, application frame. No, there we go. Okay, and you have, this is where you have yours, right? Zoom is on this side of your page?
It's actually the other side.
On the right side or on the left side? Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. Is it on
It's
your
on
right?
the right side.
Right side. Okay, so I'll move it over here.
Mhm.
Okay, and you want to see the whole thing the whole time and see how right now, and like right now, is that okay? Is that,
Yeah.
Zoom is still here? All
Yeah,
right.
see, it's still there.
So now I'm gonna open your, no, I was gonna open your InDesign. Where did your InDesign go? Here we go. We're gonna put that on top of this. And I know you're all like, no, not on top. But trust me, you guys. Come on. It doesn't move too well when I'm on this mode. So say that that's it. It's Photoshop. You have Illustrator too. Let's move that one over here. And as long as you have a bit of space, let's make them all a little bit bigger. And wow, bridge. Okay. So now this is what I was talking about when you have all these open and you have them one on top of the other, then they don't become confusing because each one has its own window. And now when you want to go from one to the other, you just go InDesign, up it comes. Then you go Photoshop and up it comes. You go, oh,
Yeah, I don't know why I have extra.
you have two Photoshops. This is your Photoshop 2024 and this is your Photoshop 20. Ah, see, you have two links.
Uh-huh.
When you have a double Photoshop going on. 2024 and 2025, you see there? So the 2025 is the one where you're having the issue with location. Let me do something. Give me a second here. I'm gonna hide everything except for your 2025. And I'm gonna try to fix this one. This is the one that was application frame. There we go. But you don't have any files open in here, and that's why it's confusing. So let's close it. Let's quit that one. Okay, and now you have your regular Photoshop in InDesign and Bridge are up. So that's all we need right now. So be careful with this other one. I'm going to move it over here. You need to decide which one you're going to use. And if 2025 is working, then after a while, you got to get rid of 2024. Otherwise, this will keep happening. So right now, this opened in 2024, so we'll stay there. Anyway, now what we were doing is with the move tool, I was just making this smaller. And these handles that you have there, we're going to talk about them in a little bit, but I'm going to just turn them off right there. So that when and not out of select, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. There we go. So now with this thumb, if you move this around, it'll move just fine. Now you see your transparency there, okay? Which is the original question. It's just that you had such a mess that we couldn't see things. All right. Is that you try? I'm done. I'm not touching your screen anymore. You try that. I finally am trying to figure out what was. All right. So you're right. Yours is not moving. That is bizarre. There we go.
I just was doing it as a hand tool before, so.
Oh, got it.
So
Perfect.
I think I'm good.
You are good. And then deal with those two Photoshop versions. Otherwise, that's why I was like, what is wrong here? I just couldn't figure it out. All right. Cool.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Let me now share my screen. Here we go. And InDesign. Okay. No. Yeah, Photoshop, I had left you here showing you how this is a floater. Okay. So now let's go to InDesign. And we're going to learn a ton more about InDesign, but I just want to focus on what we learned just now in Photoshop and how that relates to InDesign. Say that this is a flyer I'm making, right? And I want to bring in that photo that I just worked on. The little tiny one, right? Maybe it's like lost my cat and there's a picture of the cat, although it'll be small. So that's not appropriate. But anyway, imagine that, and this is a document that we want to bring it into. So the first thing we're going to do is go up to File, and we're going to choose Place. The shortcut is Command D, but for those of you who want the menu, it's up from File and File Place. Now, here's the thing. 99% of the, actually, since I told you to go to File Place, I'm going to go ahead and do it. But for a second, let's say cancel to the window that pops up. This is where I was at before the question. So I know now was up to say the shortcuts, most of them are the same. So for example, Command minus, 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 Command plus, 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 right? Command 0 fills the page. So that is exactly the same. The hand space bar, and I move around. Okay. So those things that I've been showing you are the same. I haven't yet shown you many others, but just the one that is different is the place, because File Place is Command D in InDesign, but it's different in Photoshop. It's different in Illustrator. But anyway, File Place, and now your Finder window, or for Windows people, your Explorer window comes up. Let's go to the class files wherever you have them, and we can. In my case, I have it set up by the last one I made, so I see it right there really quickly. It's the hue saturation 2x1 JPEG. If you don't know how to find it, then there's one other choice, which is to bring it straight in from Bridge. But for now, if you all found it, let's go ahead. If you found it, let's say open. If you can't find it, let me know. But don't do anything with this image yet until I show you. I'm going to clear your feedback. There we go. You all found the image? Is it hanging on your mouse like this? It's kind of hanging there. Rachel, you good? Marilyn? Because Marilyn in particular, if I know that you took the class many years ago, and all these programs have changed quite a bit, and you said you used them
Yeah,
here
they
and
have.
yeah, and you've used them quite a bit at
Sporadically.
first and then
I
no
did
more.
a lot of Photoshop, but just, basic stuff. And
Yeah.
so,
So
and
at
no
this,
bridge, hardly ever in InDesign, no.
yeah, so now keep in touch with me and let me know how you're doing, okay? Because sometimes when I see your face, I can see if someone is beginning to get puzzled or not. But when I don't see your face, I don't. It's okay. You can choose whether to show me your face or not. But you got to give me an inkling of how you're doing, because I know that we're
Okay.
treading on unknown waters right now for you, and for some of others of you guys too in design. I think Barbara, for you, it's pretty new. For others of you guys, it's pretty new as well. I know for Cassie, it's pretty new. Okay, so here I have this image. And I've only got one image. And by the way, I could have chosen 3 or 4 that I wanted to bring in one same place. Show you that later. But right now with this place command, I have a couple of choices how to drop it in. First of all, we know that it was going to be tiny. So if I simply click my mouse and click, it pops in the size that I had made it, which was 1 by 2. Remember? The computer is trying to teach you new things, and this is all the new AI versions. You can come back and read all these later. Right now, just say got it and be done so that it kind of leaves if you get them. Some of you will get them more or not. If you've never used InDesign, you'll get some others that I'm not getting. Just kind of keep saying, yeah, okay, got it, and move on for now. All right, so this is my little tiny 2 by 1 image that I brought in. Now, let's go back to File, Place. And now let's find the other one, the one that was not made smaller by us. So the hue saturation flowers that does not have the 2 by 1. Okay, we're going to say open. Oh, come on. Got it. So now I have to say that again because those little windows get in the way. Okay, so hue saturation flowers. Hello. File, place, what's happening? Why is that not coming in? Are you guys having any issue with it? It's not coming in?
Mine's not coming in either.
That is so weird. What is wrong with you? Okay. In this case, I just told you not to move bridge around, but I'm going to move bridge around because another way you can just grab it from there and put it in there. Hello? That is so weird that the file place wasn't working. I'm going to hit escape to leave it and try it one more time. File. Oh, it does not let you in. Use saturation. So that's bizarre.
Sorry about that.
I have one inkling of something that might have happened. No problem. I'm going to show you something. Oh, I know what was happening. All right. I know what happened, everyone. Grab this and delete it. So click on it somewhere, it doesn't matter, and hit your delete key. And I'll show you in a minute what happened. That's a new setting. InDesign has changed one of its defaults, and I forgot about it. So what happened is that what we did is we replaced our old one with our new one instead of putting both in. And that was a default setting that's new. And I was kind of aware of it, but I didn't know it would be this like this. Okay, so did you delete what we brought in? Okay, so let's go and say file place. And first let's bring the small one in again. So we're redoing that portion. And this is the small one. Notice that it says it's 257 KB. It's the 2 by 1. It's the one that we made tiny. We'll say open, and we're just going to click it in there. Okay, so now we're in the same spot. Now, the reason I noticed what was happening, I'm going to show you right now so that next time you'll know what's happening too. Over here at the top right, mine says essentials, right? If yours says essentials, life is good. I'm gonna make sure to reset my essentials to make sure that it looks like everyone else's because mine doesn't look like everyone else's right now. So reset essentials. So now your files should look the same as me. Now what I want us to do is I want us to bring up, go to the window, and I want us to bring up the links window. Now, what's happening is that I have a window that I want to see that's not here. Anytime you have a window that you want to see that's not here, you need to go to window and all these other choices here pop in. And yeah, it's links that I want. So you click on that and that window pops up. And it popped up as a separate little column here, right? And remember the history in Photoshop. And so I can click on it to this little link thing that shows up. I can pop it up and down, up and down. Did that work for you? Did the links panel pop in? Okay.
Yes.
So since it's extra, it kind of had to stash itself on the side. And then this here, we're going to talk about it later. That's our layers, but we don't want to do layers in InDesign right now. We just want the links. Okay. So this is where I came to notice what was wrong. You guys might have it a bit smaller. This is the link that I just brought in. What do you mean I just brought in a link? I just brought in a photo. Nope. What I just brought in is a pointer to that file that I was trying to bring in. So this isn't the photo in now my document. Rather, this document now became two. My InDesign, which is linked to my little 2x1 photo. Does that make sense? If I need to move these documents around, I need to move both files because this is pointing to that space. It's linked. See over here, and let me zoom in a little bit. See this little link icon right there? And the fact that in the links panel, it says that there is one link in here. Okay. This is saying, well, what's the link info? And I'm going to grab this bottom that says link info, put my mouse right in the bottom line and drag it open because guess what? What does this look like? Hello? Anyone?
Metadata.
It looks like the metadata in Bridge, right? Yay. So here's the information of that photo in InDesign, and it's telling me that this is the hue saturation 2x1, and here it told me that already. It's telling me it's on page 1. There's only one page here, so that's pretty obvious. It's a JPEG. It's on page 1. It tells me the color space, the size, but the size and file size, okay, not the 1x2, just the file size is 250, okay. Actual PPI 300, effective PPI 300. This here is crucial, and this is the part that I'm going to be pointing to you right now in a minute, okay? Whoops, my links went away because they don't like my tool when I try to draw it. Okay, so there, I managed to draw it and keep it down. So these three things are what we're going to be paying attention to quite a bit. First of all, it's correct. This is the one that we had downsized to 600 by 400, right? Does everyone have the right one? And we had changed it to 300 PPI, didn't we? So if you found this image and you found the links and you can read the metadata and it's all good, give me a yes.
Diane, I thought I saved mine. In fact, I saved it in Photoshop and I could see it, but now I'm in when I opened my Bridge and said place, or I opened my InDesign and said place, it took me to my Bridge.
Okay, go ahead and share your screen.
Or it did something, I don't know what I did. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and share your screen. It's possible that you didn't put it in the right folder, or it's possible, just open your screen, share your screen, and I'll see it.
Okay, yeah, I'll try to. I got kicked off the network on my computer. I have a
Oh, you're on
roommate
the second one.
Yeah, I have a roommate that games a lot.
Oh,
And so when he's gaming, it boots me out.
okay.
Let
Go
me see
ahead
if I
and
can.
go ahead and tell me when you're connected again, okay?
Yeah.
Don't worry. But for now, just keep listening, and then when you're connected, flag me down, and then
Yeah.
we'll have you share. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
All right. So back to InDesign. Okay. So the rest of you guys, Barbara, Rachel, Marilyn, I don't see a yes. So what's happening here? Did you see the links? Is it working? Is it not working? Any questions?
I didn't get the programs installed. I've been in bed for a couple days.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Barbara. That's okay then. You can just watch
I'll
this
get over
portion.
it.
Yeah. Marilyn and Rachel?
I lost at the links part. Which window was it under?
Okay. You placed the photo, first of all?
Yes,
Okay, good. So then, at the very end here, if you're on a Mac,
yes,
it looks like this. At the very top of the screen,
okay.
you'll see these words, and you be sure that it says InDesign. And
Yep.
if not, click on this photo and then go to the word window on the
Window.
menu and then turn on the links.
There we go. That's what I lost.
And
Okay.
then this thing will pop up, but it'll look smaller like that.
Under the shoe. Wait, oh yeah, I see it. Okay, perfect.
Okay, and now I want you to grab from the very bottom of this and stretch it out so we can read all the metadata.
Oh, okay.
And stretch it down because you'll end up having more
how
stuff
did
in
I
here.
lose the
So
links again? Wait, oh, it was already. Wait a minute. I'm in properties.
okay, now to properties. Go if you
Okay,
if you
links, I
lost the
see it.
links, click on the little link icon, and
I
then
see the
let's
link.
stretch it down.
Oops. Shit.
It's okay.
Sorry. Okay, links. I see it, but there's nothing in the window for them.
All right, it's possible that you're not selecting the image. So select the image, like click on it.
Okay.
So if you clicked away, yep,
Yeah.
there's nothing there. It's an empty window because we're not selecting. So select the image again and then the information for that. That's something you should all test. Click away, like some white normal area, and then click on it again, and you'll see how the info appears or disappears.
The link info is still not showing.
All right.
Oh, you know why? It's not linked
why?
to my bridge. That's why.
No, it's got nothing to do with bridge.
Oh. I mean, it's not linking. I put it from my Photoshop. I just copied and pasted it. Into that's what I did. Because I
Okay.
haven't I
Hold
haven't
on.
set up the bridge stuff yet.
I hear you.
So I just went to the
Hold on,
Photoshop, so
Marilyn.
no link.
First
Yep.
of all, to bring this in, I did not use bridge. Okay,
Ah,
so I'm
okay.
going to show you again. Bridge has nothing
Okay,
to
wait,
do
let
with
me
this right now.
zoom. Okay, there we are. Okay.
But let me just say, if I could have alarms bell ringing at any point, they would have totally rung at what you just said, because I want everyone to pay attention. And Peggy's like, ooh, she's taking these classes long enough. Never ever copy paste. And this is a warning to all of you guys because it's so simple. Why not just copy paste? It is a 100% different creature. And in so many ways, it's rarely ever gonna work. Every now and then it might, but it really won't. Because that's the big difference between linked and embedded, which is why precisely you weren't finding information because you did something called embed versus link. And embed has its place, but it's not what we're doing. So let me show you again what we're going to do. We're going to go to File, Place.
Okay.
Okay. Now this window pops up going, go find the file. Now I happen to know where it was, but you guys probably have it in the downloads folder because you downloaded it today. So if you go to your downloads folder here on the left side somewhere, you should be able to find the fall 2024 folder.
Okay.
Did it show up?
Oh, yeah. Wait. Hold on. Delete that bad boy. Okay. And then open.
Just since I can't read your mind, you need to narrate where you are.
My computer is super slow because when all three are open, it has the spinning wheel. Oh, there it is. Okay, download. And which one are we downloading then?
So double click to get
The
into the folder
flowers?
and then the hue saturation 2x1, the small one first.
Okay, because I didn't save it and it didn't go into the folder when I saved I called it business card and it just I saved
Okay,
it.
so
probably on
then go to recents and maybe you have it there as at the top,
might
it
have it
might
on my
show up
desktop.
as, yeah. But
Okay,
go
it's
to
on my
recents
desktop.
and it should pop in, or it's
Okay,
in your
there we
desktop,
are.
okay. We're gonna,
And
okay, so then call it business card or
okay,
whatever.
now I see the
and-
link information and it's linked.
Okay,
Okay.
so now let's say
Cool.
open and click.
Yeah.
Okay, now
I have it.
this is so crucial because usually what I do is I teach this and then I show the difference between embedding. And since one of the things that would have happened, guys, is that when you embed, which is what she did and unknowingly, is you don't
Mhm.
have all the metadata information. And so that's why I had to, we had to walk her through the linking issue. Now, there's,
And that, okay, so that happens when you place it, then you get the link information. And it can be
yes.
placed from your desktop or wherever. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
file, place, and you go find wherever you have it and you
Okay.
bring it in. Mhm.
Okay.
Now,
Gotcha.
later in the game, we're going to talk a lot about consolidating all your files that you have for your document into one package, and then it'll all be in one place. But right now, wherever they are, you just place
Okay.
them. Okay. Now, as I was saying, the part that really I want you guys to, okay, let me reshare my screen so that I don't have so much wasted space. Here we go. So the part that I'm going to ask you guys to focus of the metadata is when I draw it, it'll disappear. And now I'll bring it up again. There we go. Are these three things. A, of course, it's telling us that this is the 2x1, we already know that. We had made it 300 PPI and we had made it downsized, so it was only 600 by 400. Now, let's bring in, and this is the part that that was happening that's new in this InDesign that wasn't happening before, which is why it was confusing that it seemed like nothing had changed. First of all, deselect this one, deselect it, click away so that, look at the difference between selected, there's these little boxes on the sides, this little yellow box, these blue ones, click away, and the link will still show up, but there's no other boxes. Yeah? So that means we are not selecting that original box anymore. And this is pretty crucial. Okay, let me actually clear your feedback so that later.
Yeah, are you doing anything with the network?
Let me mute Odessa. There we go. All right. So now we're going to go back to file place. And what had happened before is that we had the default replace selected item. You see that? Which means that since we had this selected when we brought the new one in, since the new one was exactly visually the same, we didn't notice it coming in, and that was what was weird. This wasn't a default setting before. If you turn it off, it won't do that anymore. This is a new default. Now I'm torn because if I undo it, then next time people have this problem, I won't know. So I'm going to have to leave it on. I would recommend taking it off. But as long as you don't have anything selected, this is fine. And now let's go get the other, let's go get the regular hue saturation flowers. And since we have nothing selected, when we now say open, it'll be at the tips of our fingers again. Does that make sense? And now, once again, give it a single click. That's pretty important. And I'm going to go command minus, minus, minus so that we can see what's happening. Yeah, because when we were at command 0 and we did single click, this did some weird stuff, didn't it? Look at how huge it pops in. Oh my God. Class has been over for a while. Guys.
You're having too much fun, Diane.
I wasn't sure when it ended.
Ah,
I thought it ended at 7:15, but
I know this, I don't have yet the alarm set for that, and it ends in my brain. This class usually goes for I don't know why they scheduled it this way. Usually this one would end at 7:45. So my brain and my exercise is going till there. So let me just, since I'm in the middle of something, let me quickly show this to you. We'll save the file and we continue from there. But I just single clicked and dropped it in. And it dropped in humongous. In fact, command minus, 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 and look at how big it is. And we're like, really? Why is it showing up so big? Well, if you remember the metadata, let's turn on this link here to look at the metadata. The second one that we brought in, the big one, at 72 ppi, 1920, used to be what size? 26 by 17. You see that? So that's what it's doing. It's coming in at 26 by 17 inches. And when there's other ways of bringing it in a different size, but when you just bring it in place and single click, it comes in at the size that you created it or left it to be in Photoshop, at the size of the metadata. You see? That said, if you try to print this, beyond the fact that this isn't even there, but say that the photo was there, this would be a beautiful photo and this would be a blurry mess because it's at 72 ppi. You see that? Now, as long as that is understood, I'm going to leave you guys on tender hooks. What's it called when you leave someone with the, yeah, tender hooks, to figure out plan B and how do we get out of this mess and what do we do about this. But for now, let's save this file so we can open it next week. Let's go Command and Control S. Save it on your computer. And for those of you who saved into weird places, instead of saving it to weird places or desktops or other places, I recommend learning to navigate to save it in the same folder so that then we can see them all together in Bridge. Now, if you don't know where they are, I assure you they're still in your downloads folder because that's where you downloaded them to. So head over to your downloads folder and look for the Fall 2022 Digital Design Techniques. Yeah. And that's where it should be. And if someone needs help with this, I will save mine and then I'll help you save yours. And then while people who are done can leave, I'll help you save yours to the right place. But I want you to save it into the file Design Techniques. Let's save it as place and let's just say place exercise, whatever. Very boring name, but let's call it place exercise. And then let's save. And I don't save it until you know that you're saving it to the right spot. And those of you who need help saving, please right now, raise your hand or give me a no or something like that. And then I'll help you. But this file, let's leave it ready to go for next class. Now, one more quick aside. What I'm going to do also, in case someone didn't make it to class today or someone like, people who had to leave early, I have a folder in our class handouts that's called sorry, I don't have the right, that's called catch up. So I'm going to put this file in here so that if necessary, if you really need to leave early, you'll be able to catch up. That doesn't mean that you'll know when you open it what happened because you haven't been here, but at least you could continue with the class. My goal, though, is that you would have watched the recording and you would have created your file so that when you miss a class, when you come in the next Monday, you would have made your own following the class, right? But just in case, I'll have it here. The links and stuff, it'll be a bit weird, but I'm going to put it in there just so you know. Now, please, sorry, because I know it's late, but can you please give me a screenshot of what we just did? So I want a screenshot of, in this case, the thing that I really would like to see is the metadata and this like tiny image and the big image. But if the metadata hides it, then you can just do a screenshot of this only and then another one with the metadata. If you can put both and it works, then do that, because this is kind of the links and the panel and whatever. This is really what we've been kind of learning. And there you go. We can, I'm going to stop my share and I can help anyone who needs help saving to the right place. Odessa, yeah, we heard you for a second talking to your
Yeah,
roommate. So
yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I'm not being able to connect at all right now, except with my phone through my data
that's
plan.
okay.
So I'll watch the video and catch up.
Yeah,
It's on there. I saw it earlier. I just couldn't find it.
that's fine. You know what? If you want, if no one else has questions, I can talk you through it. But I think I had told someone else to stay behind a little bit. For helping. Was it? No, Marilyn, you have everything, so it wasn't that. So I guess, was it anyone else that I said I'll help you at the end? Oh, I think about your, no, 2024, 2025. We figured out what it was, so now you just need to know which one you're opening in. I don't think I said anyone else. I didn't, yeah, okay. So hang in there, Odessa. Let me see if I can talk you through it, okay? Everyone else, it's on you to I'm going to put the alarm right now, but remind me that the class is finishing ideally about 10 minutes ahead of time. I want to respect your time, my time, everything, but my brain just, I'm sorry. So, see you guys on Monday. Have a great week. Practice, practice, practice. Post, ask questions, and oh, and I didn't tell you the homework, but mainly the homework I was going to have you guys do is to bring in a few more images. So just make it in design, play some other stuff. I didn't get to what I wanted to show you because I thought the class was going for an extra half hour, but that's okay. Practice a little bit of this so you're comfy in Photoshop, maybe resize and resample a photo here and there. Just never save over so you don't lose the originals, okay? All right. And I'm going to put this in the Padlet. I'm going to write day 2 homework and it'll say these things if you need to remember. Bye.
Thank
Nice
you.
seeing you again, Marilyn.
Good to see you. Thanks again.
All right. So Odessa,
Okay.
Like that
where
pink hair.
where was it that I left you?
That was, well, I was trying to find that image for InDesign.
Okay. So go back to Photoshop. You're on a Mac or on a PC?
I'm on a Mac.
Okay. So got back to Photoshop and
I see it right here. It's Sizing Flowers is what I named it.
oh, okay. So when you say you see it right here, where are you seeing it? Is it in the Finder
I'm
window?
in Photoshop, just in the open window.
Okay. So it's sitting there kind of in the latest done. So click on it so it opens again.
Okay.
And now let's do a save as.
Yep.
And now on the Finder window on the left side, can you find your downloads folder?
Well, it says it's saving in the,
In
yes.
the where?
It says it's saving in the fall 2024 download for digital design.
Oh, so then you should see it. So go to Bridge, but remember that but it's not called the same thing anymore. Now it's called Replace or something. I don't know what you called it. So it'll be at the bottom of your bridge instead of next to the other flower. Does that make sense? Because it's alphabetically ordered.
It makes sense. And I thought that I checked that, but I got all flustered because I couldn't find it. So I don't know if I checked it or not.
So just go check your bridge and see if under the arch or whatever thing, what did you call it? You said
Sizing
So go to
flowers.
the S, and see if perchance it's there.
I had to open Bridge again. I didn't
Oh,
have it.
okay. Got it.
I had rebooted hoping that it would fix my computer. I hate having computer issues. Okay, so I'm
Yeah.
in Bridge. And I have my folder open. That's the fall 2024 digital design. You said it should be, but it's not at the bottom.
Well,
Oh,
it should
wait,
be at the
there it
S
is. It's
alphabetically.
there. Yeah, it's there, sizing.
Originally, that's why I said add the name at the end to change so that they'd show up together in Bridge, but
Yes.
that's a convenience. As long as you know what you named it, there it is. I thought that you hadn't put it in the right folder. Like I think
Right.
Marilyn had left it on the desktop, but you did it. It's just that in Bridge, you're expecting to see them together in the same image.
Yes.
Nope, they go by file name, right? So
Okay.
yeah, so they were just at the bottom. So cool. So now in InDesign, you can go place and go look for it down at the S's instead of at the H's, and you should be able to place it.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Okay. Rachel, you're hanging in to ask a particular question or just to know what I was about to
I
do
have
with
like
her?
a minor question
Sure.
in Bridge. I notice you have your I guess icons sorted by folders instead of pictures, and I was just trying to figure out how to do that as well.
Oh, that's true. Did I leave it in that mode? Let's see. Oh, you're right. Ah, you're right. I have it here. I did sort by type. So sort by file name, then the folders are sprinkled all over the place. You're right. But I went sort by type, and so it put the
Sort by
folders
type.
at the
Okay.
top. And then the rest doesn't go by file name, so maybe that's not so good. Maybe it's easier. I should probably go by file name so for everyone to have it in the same place. I don't know, but thanks for reminding me that next class I'll try to
Yeah,
remember
I
to
was just
show
trying to
this.
follow
Otherwise,
along to see it's
yeah,
easier.
no, how about we do this, Rachel, next class when I open Bridge, can you remind me? You'll see them in a different mode and you'll see, and I'll just show this again so that, because that's pretty important. If I'm showing something and I'm showing you, here it is, and no one sees it, because
Yeah.
I'm showing it differently, then it's confusing, right? And it was just a simple difference in how it was showing, but I didn't notice. So by default, most people have it by file name. I think at one point I told people to change to by type for something else. So who knows where people are. So I'll show them this again. If you can
Yeah,
make a
I'll remind
note
you because
or remind
it's a
me,
little bit
that'll be great.
confusing because I had saved mine by business card instead of 2 by 1. So when it's
Yeah.
by file name, it was like in a totally different place.
Yeah, another way is by date created. Then the latest one you did
Oh,
would
that's even
be
better.
at the bottom,
Hmm.
right? But then, no, because why is this one here if it's by date created? I just created the 2 by 1. This is new, so it's at the bottom, but then this one,
Yeah, that's odd.
why is it there? Maybe because it was a save as, I don't know. So that didn't seem to make sense. By date modified. So then I have the one I modified. Oh, because this was created off of one, so it gave me the creation date, and this is supposed to be the modification. So anyway, either way, whatever works for you to find it. But yeah, the default is by file name. So I'll remember to
Okay.
talk about this next time.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Thanks for pointing that out. Again, things that I wouldn't have noticed otherwise. All right.
Diane?
Yes.
So it's there when I look through Photoshop and when I look in my Finder, but it's not there when I'm in InDesign doing file place.
Okay. So if you go to File Place, did you find the folder called Illustrator Handouts? Fall? And if you go to the S's, it's truly not there. What did you save it as? You saved it as a JPEG? Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Um,
Well, I thought I did. I
no,
wonder, well, I should be able to look in Photoshop, right?
go look in Photoshop again, but it's okay. Even if you saved it as a
Well, I can see it
PST, it would still work.
yeah, I can see it in Bridge. It's saved as a JPEG.
So go back into InDesign, say place, file place. Make sure you have nothing else selected. Do you have like the selection tool on, the black arrow tool on?
I opened a brand new window.
Okay.
Oh,
And
yeah, the black
InDesign.
arrow tool's on.
Okay, good. So now go to file place.
Yep.
And then when you go to the folder, tell me there's some other choices that might be stopping it, like file type. I'm trying to think what else could be
It says
happening.
syncing with iCloud paused.
Oh, you must have saved to the cloud.
I must have, and since I can't connect, I can't see it. That's what it is. Okay.
So remember when you say save, I said save on your computer.
Yeah,
That's why, since you're not online with that computer, it's not.
gotcha.
So
Okay, I
then
got it.
when you get back, when you sync again, open it up, save as, put a version in your computer, and then you'll be able to place it.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good
All right.
night.
You too. Bye.